Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of NASCAR Chase for the Cup 2005 on the channel. Back-to-back nights of racing and back-to-back nights at the Lowe's Motor Speedway. Last night we ran the All-Star race, seeing Jimmie Johnson get the win. It was his fourth win this year if you would count the two non-points racing wins. He won his Gatorade dual race earlier this season at Daytona, and now he has a win in the All-Star race. $1 million richer coming into this race today. But we're back to seriousness. We're back to the points racing. Half the races still remain for the regular season before qualifying for the chase. Johnson's currently sitting in the top 5 in the point standings, looking pretty good to make the top 10 as long as nothing catastrophic happens, though. He has not DNF'd yet this season, and we are a dozen races in. This is definitely a possibility where we could see a DNF out of him. He is really good at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. The problem really lies in the fact that this is a 600-mile race, and we're hopping into this thing with no practice or qualifying. I wanted to make it really tough on me for these 600 miles. We had one of the top 3 cars. In fact, in my opinion, I think we had the second best car in the All-Star race last night. I think Jeff Gordon had the fastest car. We'll see if Jeff Gordon will have the fastest car again here today in this race, but we'll see. It looks like Gordon qualified 7th up on the grid that you see on the top of the screen. But like, share, and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. Let's get on into this race. And green flag is in the air. Dale Earnhardt Jr. will lead the field to the green of the Coke 600. Cars One boy Jackson Thomas, welcome to the stream. Running the Pride of America paint scheme for Jimmie Johnson for this Memorial Day weekend race. Ryan Newman quickly going to get to the lead, or at least battle side by side with Dale Jr. all the way into turn 3. Ashton G, welcome to the stream as well. Definitely going to have to watch the stack-ups on the front stretch here as they're 2 and 3 wide off the exit of turn 4. Ryan Newman will get 5 bonus points and lead the opening lap. Newman also had a fast car and finished in the top 5 last night in the All-Star race. Sorry, I had to pause it for a quick second. Move the chat up onto my screen. For some reason, I scrolled down somehow when I hit start stream. Oh my goodness, I almost messed myself up. We're good. That was a bad spot to pause the game. So a long night of racing, 400 laps, 600 miles on this 1.5-mile D-shaped oval. Johnson going to be very, very patient at the back of the field right now. I got the same setup in the car that we ended the race with last night. You have to say, though, feels a little loose still. Jimmy Lane in the 169 throwing a big block on Jimmie Johnson on the front stretch that time. Johnson got a big run into turn 1. He's obviously faster than these cars. Now he looks to the outside of Lane off turn 2. Contact. Nothing major. Finally got around him. It's definitely dangerous at the back of the pack. Brendan Gaughan throwing a big block now in the 48 of Johnson. These drivers at the rear of the field are being extra aggressive, it looks like. Not the 48 car, but everybody else around him. Robbie Gordon trying to pull down in front, and we got trouble off turn 2. Big crash. Big crash off of turn 2, and a caution will wave on lap 4 of the Coke 600. The 192 car going to go for a spin. Oh, man. I couldn't tell who was on the outside, but Mark Martin. Mark Martin catches some big-time air. The rear of the car popped up off the ground, landed right on top of the car who was running behind him, one of the other Generator drivers, and then piled down to the inside of the racetrack. So with this early caution, Johnson being at the rear of the field, he'll pit. Why not? Everybody else going to stay out. Got no limit to how many tires or how much fuel we can take. Well, obviously, there's no limit to how much fuel you can take, but no tire limits in this game for us. So we're just going to pop 4 fresh tires on. We'll lose 3 positions. We'll have a single file restart, no other problems. So first accident in lap 4, pretty big crash between the 192, the 6 of Ryan Newman, because it's 2021. Mark Martin in the 6 car. Jeff Gordon looks like he got to the lead right before the caution waved as well. So we've had 3 drivers in the lead. I don't think Junior led a lap, though. Newman led the first couple before Gordon led right before the caution. And that's the dangerous part of being at the back of the pack for Johnson. He's trying to keep his car clean early on. He was being extra patient, but then he had that crash off the exit of 2, and a handful of drivers in the middle of the pack got involved. Luckily, Johnson was far enough back he was able to check up. They're a pretty hard lick for Mark Martin. Let's see if we get any debris cautions coming up here at all. We usually don't in this game. We've only had a couple of them, but we'll see. Green flag back in the air. Looks like the 192 also hit pit road that time. It wasn't just Jimmy Johnson. And the green flag is back in the air. Good restart for Jimmy underneath the 198 car. Gets around him quickly. He's only going to have about 4 lap fresher tires. Still going double wide, at least in the middle of the pack. And the guy who had the fastest car in the field in the All-Star race now leads in the opening 10 laps of the Coke 600 on the very same racetrack. Gordon started 7th, which is further back than what he started in the All-Star race. Patrick Chatterley, welcome to the stream. 6 laps, trouble already, yeah. Lap 4, we had a caution. Mark Martin got in a big accident after the 192 spun underneath him. Rear wheels came up off the ground for Martin, landed on top of another car, on the hood of one of those generated drivers. Couldn't tell who it was. I'm not sure who's in the 192 car either. All the generated drivers in the Cup Series run part-time, so not sure who many of them are. Johnson on the outside of Jeff Green. Both the dual race winners from Daytona were side by side for a brief moment. This is the dangerous part. Johnson, no practice, no qualifying. Brendan Gaughan moves up the track in turns 3 and 4. So does Robbie Gordon. Johnson being extra patient. I mentioned coming into this race that he has not DNF'd yet this season. Johnson's even checking up on the straightaways when he gets a big run behind another car. That car in front of him is kind of running a half a lane off the top just to play it safe. Obviously, the safest spot would be to get to the front of the field, not be in this jumbled mess like we saw early on. You don't want to force yourself into an issue either, trying to make a desperation pass when you're running outside the top 30. And obviously, that crash happened outside the top 20, and there's contact between Johnson and the 133 of Randy Norton. The weird thing with that is Johnson wasn't trying to be aggressive, but he still ended up just a little too close to that 133 car's right rear corner panel to make contact, and up the track they went. Definitely wasn't pretty. Jeff Green will get by Johnson for position. Johnson going to try to get him back down the backstretch into turn 3. Johnson a little loose that time into turn 3, but he keeps it off the 43 and clears him in the center of the corner. Hopefully that early caution doesn't set the pace for the Coke 600. Remember, we had an early caution last night, too, at lap 8 of the All-Star race. It was the only caution for incident when Kurt Busch spun while running in 4th, all on his own. And that was also in turns 1 and 2. Johnson barely missed that to the inside. Eventually went on to win on a last lap pass on Tony Stewart to win the All-Star race. Got side by side with him down the backstretch and cleared him off turn 4. Norton underneath Jimmy Lane. The 69 car, Johnson coming in hot. He'll get to the inside of Lane. Norton going to block him into 1. And Norton's going to pull off a pass, it looks like, on Ricky Craven in the 32 car as well. Norton has pulled off some mighty big blocks after that contact that him and Johnson made just a few laps prior. It didn't look too major. It actually looks like both of these cars are still looking all right on the outside. Another block by Norton. You better be careful. Johnson finally gets underneath him off the exit of turn 4. Gotta get tight. 3 wide. Now they're side by side. How about Tony Stewart, who finished second in the All-Star race, running further towards the back of the field? He is in 30th now. He'll get past. Norton's probably going to follow Johnson as well to the inside of Stewart, it looks like. So Tony Stewart outside the top 30. Early going to this race. Not sure if he qualified poorly and he's still running back here. Exactly what the issue is. Ward Burton trying to take a look to the outside of Jimmy Johnson, who's stuck behind the 178 car. The front stretch, good run for Ward Burton. Stewart trying to go 3 wide up the middle, thought better of it. Not enough room between Burton and Labonte. Dark Crypto, welcome to the stream. Johnson sends it. Gordon leads lap 20. He's led the most laps early on. All but the first 3 were led by Ryan Newman. And then Junior led a couple laps off this last restart, I guess, too. Initially, at least. Johnson definitely starting to finally cut through the field slowly but surely. But Jeff Gordon will most definitely be the one to beat. Last mile of half track we were on at the Texas Motor Speedway went caution free in that 500-mile race. This one with a caution very early on in a 600-mile event. Hopefully don't get too many yellows to prolong this race. Already, we could see history on the channel once again this week. This one could be the longest race ever on the channel. You never know. We haven't ran the Coke 600 on NASCAR Chase for the Cup 05 like we did with Thunder 04, NASCAR Heat 4, NASCAR Heat 5. So it's our 4th game installment, which we are doing now. Steve Wallace on the high side. Johnson will get around him on the front stretch. Clears into turn 1, and Johnson's inside the top 20 at lap 22. So he's definitely taking his time getting through there, but he's definitely got a fast car. Again, we mentioned second fastest car in the All-Star race last night, and still got the W at the end of the night. Gonna look to the outside into 3 and 4 on Dale Jarrett. Jarrett to the inside of Greg Biffle. Johnson drops in line behind the 88. Play it smart. He's just going to follow one of these drivers. Biffle got a really good run on turn 4. He'll clear Jarrett anyway by the time they make it back into turn 1. I have a feeling we're going to be seeing a lot of engine failures in this one. This is definitely one of those races where we can, in any race really, we have 500 or more miles. It just feels like we have a ton of DNFs, and obviously having that crash already on lap 1 didn't help, but for that sake of things. We had 19 cars in the race last night, too, and it was only 90 laps, and we still have 5 DNFs. 14 drivers made it to the finish of the race. Kurt Busch taking the lead away now from Jeff Gordon. Maybe he wrecked all of the speed out of the race last night, staying out of trouble earlier on, unlike his teammate Martin. Let's pass there a Ricky Rudd from Jimmy Johnson. 2 red, white, and blue paint schemes running side by side on the front stretch between Johnson and Biffle. Biffle in the National Guard car. Patriotic colors on the low Chevy underneath. Biffle stuck behind Waltrip. Johnson will get around Waltrip as well. And how about Derek Cope running 15th right now? Down in the chat. That's unbelievable. Derek Cope in 15th in the Coke 600 on speed. The early going. He'll throw a block on Johnson there off turn 4. And he wants to hang on to this top 15 as long as he possibly can. I don't think he's going to hold on too long, but he's going to attempt. Look at him pulling low to block again. Thought about it at least. Johnson does get underneath him, and Johnson with a big slide into 3. Entered way too deep. That's just the race car. You don't want to use up the tires too early in the run. So 4 different drivers have led laps. Jeff Gordon, Ryan Newman, Dale Jr., and now Kurt Busch. Not in that specific order, but those would be the 4. 27 laps complete at the start-finish line out of 400. Johnson gets the cut underneath Cope off the exit of turn 2. Jeff Burton on the high side as well. Johnson underneath him. Clears Cope and Burton. It looks like Cope will dive bomb underneath Jeff Burton as well. Johnson underneath Kenseth clears him off turn 4. Now he's underneath Sterling Marlin in the 40. Silver bullet paint scheme for Marlin. Iconic colors for that Chip Ganassi Racing 40 car. Johnson's got 2 teammates in the top 10 already. Brian Vickers in 10. Jeff Gordon has fallen all the way back to 8th place, it looks like. Battles back underneath Dale Jr. Johnson passes rookie Casey Kane. Jr. still stuck on the outside with Hendrick Chevy and Brian Vickers underneath him. Vickers checks up, and Johnson got into the back of him into 1. I think Vickers might have tried to back the corner up on Dale Jr. Try and make that pass. Definitely stacked the 48 up, that's for sure. Now Vickers got to try to get another run on the 8. That time Vickers checked up in the middle of the corner. And Johnson will get around him for that 10th position. Johnson will be the one to get around Dale Jr. Elliott Sadler moves wide right in front of Joe Nemechek. Jimmy with a big slide off 4, but he still clears up on the 38 car, and he's up to a race-high 7th place. Everybody's under a blanket. This is almost like the All-Star race last night. It's crazy inside the top 10. Gordon's battled all the way back up inside the top 5 again. And Bobby Labonte leading the race for the first time. He's the 5th different leader. Johnson a little sideways. Oh, contact and McMurray's around. Caution's out. Big crash going into turn 1. Johnson hard into the wall after he got hung up on the right front of McMurray. Elliott Sadler goes around as well. Dale Jr.'s involved. Our second caution in the first 50 laps of the Coke 600. A lot of damage to the back of the 42. Heavy hit to the right front of the car, into the outside wall as well for himself. And now we have another caution. Johnson will pit again, being involved in the accident, but he can't take fuel or tires because of being involved in the accident. So that is a tough break here for the 48. Probably end up winning the race off pit road to at least get 5 bonus points, but everybody else will hit pit road, so he is going to be on old tires here. He did pit for tires during the first caution back on lap 4, but still likely gonna have to pit before everybody else again unless we get another timely caution. Johnson will get to restart from the lead. Our second caution in the early going to the Coke 600. And we'll see if Johnson can hang on. Excluding the caution laps, he's got about 30 lap older tires than the rest of the field. 32 to be exact. Green flag back in the air. Ward Burton cycling up to second place of the drivers who took tires on pit road that time. Ward Burton gaining a bunch of spots. We'll see if he can try to hang in. Johnson's got the clean air now. That'll help. Hopefully they repaired enough damage on that 48 car. Help him along the way, perhaps. Jeff Gordon starting to climb back towards the front again. Up to fourth place. Right in line behind Kevin Harvick. Harvick looking low off turn 2 to try and make a move on Ward Burton for second. Into turn 3. Can't quite get his bumper underneath the left rear. That 0 car. Harvick did make the pass that time through turns 1 and 2, so Kevin Harvick up to second place. Trying to take his first lead of the night. That's 6 different drivers lead laps now. Harvick trying to become the 7th. At lap 42. Oh man, he gets into the left rear of Jimmy Johnson. Almost turned the 48 car sideways. I don't think Johnson really cut down any more than Harvick might have gone up the racetrack. That stack up might cost Kevin Harvick second place. Jeff Gordon's underneath him off the exit of turn 4, and they're side by side for second. Gordon, he knows how to get around the 48. He did it a few times last night in the All-Star race, and I'm sure he'll have a great chance to do it here on the fresher tires. Gordon is there. Johnson likely not going to be able to hold on. He'll try for all he's got down the back straightaway. Side draft in the right rear of Gordon. About halfway on fuel right now for Johnson. And now into turns 3 and 4, Gordon will try to pull clear off the exit of the corner. These two ran side by side for every bit of about 5 laps when battling for the lead. Late stage 2 or segment 2 of the All-Star race. Johnson trying to hang on here. Look at him squeeze Gordon. Really try to side draft him, and he did a good job. I'm very shocked on these older tires that Johnson's doing what he's doing. Into 3, Gordon with the advantage on the bottom again. Will he pull clear this time? Not quite. Johnson's in the wall, though. He got really sideways up there. Harvick now to second place. Johnson falls in line in 3rd now, right in front of Dale Jr. So Jeff Gordon leads. Once again, I believe the 3rd different time Gordon has led in this race. Harvick still trying to get that lead. He's not giving up on that 24 yet. Johnson's going to get underneath of Harvick, though. Harvick took maybe just a little bit too much time. Johnson with the run into turn 1 underneath Gordon. clear off turn 2. Jimmy Johnson back up to the lead. Gordon almost got the wall off the exit of turn 4, a little bit wider than normal that time. Despite running the bottom most of the way through the corner, just kind of pushed tight. Johnson trying to hug that white line inside of the racetrack. He does not want the 24 car getting underneath him. Oh, Johnson's going to overdrive the corner this time pretty badly. Pushing and pushing and pushing up that racetrack. Gordon is back underneath him, but Jeff couldn't clear him. Johnson trying to hang on side by side into turn 1. Now into 3 and 4 side by side for the lead. Gordon clear off turn 4. Well, that didn't take too long, and he's back out in front once again. And Gordon won those first 2 segments last night, and although Johnson led the most laps, he only led 4 more laps on the 24 car. Johnson potentially going to short pit here very soon. Try and split the strategy. It means he's on the older tires. It seems like if he can get around the leader, he can't really stay there longer than 2 to 3 laps on these older tires. So he'll try to split the strategy up a little bit. Of course, everybody else pitted for fueler tires under that second caution. Johnson did not, because he was involved in the accident, or so started the accident was the reason why I didn't pit for fuel and tires that time, but we did pit for fuel and tires under the first caution very early on in this race. So Johnson going to pit this time by off turn 4. Got to make sure not to speed. 70 miles per hour is the pit road speed limit for every track in this game. Easily going to get down in time. So 4 tires and fuel coming up. No adjustments on the 48 car. First green flag stop of the day and second pit stop total now for fuel and tires early on. He'll be the first to make his second stop. Trying to go off strategy. See what this will do for him. So there goes Jeff Gordon in the lead. I mean, it's just going to mean Johnson will cycle back out to the lead if everything does end up cycling all the way through. Going to blend right in the middle of traffic, though. That's the only bad part. Once he does get up to speed into turn 3 here. Everybody racing around him. Nemechek and Marlin couldn't quite clear down. Marlin had a chance to, but he didn't. And now Johnson on fresh tires, and he wants to go. He wants to go, but still got to be patient. We're only on lap 55. Johnson going to drive it deep into one. A nice little slide draft on the 2 of Rusty Wallace. Luckily, he cleared the 99 of Burton. They weren't 3 wide getting into the first turn. Jamie McMurray just up ahead. You can see the damage on the back of his race car as Johnson pulls closer to him. Definitely took the heaviest lick in that second caution. Haven't seen Mark Martin up close after his wreck. He had probably the wildest ride of anybody so far in this race. Didn't realize Terry Labonte's driven himself all the way towards the front of the field. It was the back half of the top 10. I would assume that Bobby Labonte and Kurt Busch are in the top 10 right now. Terry Lewis, welcome to the stream. That was a big block by Kurt Busch on wall trip. Middle of turns 3 and 4. Johnson side drafts the 15 of Waltrip now. Oh, a little contact. Waltrip was hanging on that right rear, and Johnson did move up a little bit. Underneath Kurt, underneath Labonte, and Johnson on fresher tires, short pitting on the rest of the field. He's got his teammate Terry Labonte right in front of him. He's going to try to get around him. Look at his teammate Labonte throwing a block there. Johnson got out of the gas, and here comes his younger brother, Terry's younger brother, that is, Bobby Labonte, back to the high side. He's going to drift way up the track, barely keeping it off the wall, and Kurt Busch is underneath the 18. Johnson with another run on the 5. I'm surprised Terry's blocking his teammate like he is right now. But it will be Jimmy Johnson clearing Terry Labonte off turn 4. Ideally, Johnson would like to get his lap back. Worst case scenario, if we do get a caution, Johnson would be in the free pass position and get the lucky dog. In the first and only driver 1 lap down currently. Johnson really reeled in Matt Kenseth over the last couple laps. Was all over his back bumper all the way through turns 1 and 2. Make a move to the inside of the 17. Kenseth will give him plenty of room, it looks like, into turn 3 to make the pass. Kenseth is aware that Johnson is a lap down. And on fresher tires. And somebody else must be on pit road right now or blowing up something. We randomly just gained another position. And it was not Matt Kenseth, I can guarantee you that. It was a little delayed after we passed him. So I'm not sure what exactly happened that caused Johnson to gain another spot there. Unless Kenseth is a lap down, I doubt it. Dale Jr. is really hugging that 48 car tight on the front stretch. Johnson did a great job holding his line, not making contact with the 8. There's him off turn 2. So then you got Kevin Harvick in second, and then Jeff Gordon with the lead. Probably about 8 or 9 car lengths, maybe a little more than that, ahead of Kevin Harvick. About a full second or so on him. Jeff Gordon would be the class of the field perhaps tonight. He seemed to be the case in the All-Star race. The statistics might not have shown it. But he definitely seemed like the hardest driver to pass in the entire field for the 48. He led only 4 less laps on him. Of course, Gordon ended up finishing 5th versus Johnson getting the win as well. Johnson underneath Harvick into turn 3. Harvick trying to pinch him down as much as he can. I think the best bet is just going to be to let him go and try to run down the 24 for himself. Maybe he battles Gordon. Maybe Gordon knows that Jimmy Johnson, although he's a teammate, is his best competitor to race him for the win. Try to keep him lapped down. We get a caution. You'd have to restart at the rear of the field versus maybe towards the front if he ends up staying out of the pits again. Johnson gets ahead of Gordon. There's going to be no traffic for Jimmy in the next little bit. Johnson has closed on the 24. Johnson now underneath Gordon. Into turn 1. Gordon trying to hold on tightly. Like our crew chief said, Gordon's trying to put you a lap down. Like we were actually in the process of passing him, getting our lap back, but okay. Johnson back on the lead lap. We'll survive a caution if we do get one off schedule without having to get the free pass or lucky dog. Still got a long ways to go in this one. Numerous more pit stops. Strategy is split early on, though. And even these faster cars that are at the front currently, like Jeff Gordon, Kevin Harvick, Dale Jr., they're going to have to make sure their engines will last all the way to the end of the race. So remember, the last live stream we had of this game was at the California Speedway. It was a 500-mile race. So my bad in saying Texas was the last 500-mile race. That was the last mile and a half that was a 500-plus mile race. But California, we had a lot of DNFs in that one as well, though longer straightaway, so maybe even more strenuous on the engines as far as the speeds and where the RPMs are at on corner entries. But with that being said, though, we saw a crazy finish to that race. And not only we saw a crazy finish to that race, but remember, Matt Kenseth was battling for the lead. His engine expired. He had one of the faster cars on the field. Thought he put himself in the right position to win, and hey, he blew an engine while battling for the lead. Actually was probably about to take the lead, assuming he was going to clear Johnson off turn 4, but he blew an engine coming to 4 to go, and well, heck broke loose after that. Just a crazy, wild thing that you wouldn't expect to happen. Kenseth in the top 5 looking for a rally after that one. Though we did run Richmond after that. That was just on a premiere and not an actual live stream. Trying to guess exactly when these other drivers are going to hit pit road. It's kind of tough to say right now. I don't know exactly when that caution came out. We restarted at like lap 44, 42, somewhere around there. So they're probably just past halfway on fuel. So probably less than half a tank left for those guys. You know, Johnson pitted lap 53. It's already been 25 laps since he had made his way off pit road. It tells you even in a long race how quickly time flies. It doesn't feel like we pitted 25, 26 laps ago already. Felt like it was just a couple laps ago. Definitely the most things have been strung out so far in the early going, the first quarter of this race. Under the lights at the Lowe's Motor Speedway. Like, share, and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content if you are new to the channel. Daily NASCAR content with full race live streams, both video games and for real life races on the weekend. And thanks for everybody subscribing to the channel recently. Again, we had a lot of new members, or new, I guess, subscribers to the channel within the last less than a week, really. Talladega this weekend, both the pre-race on Sunday, waiting out that rain delay, and then the race itself on Monday. We had a great turnout. Set some stream records on Monday. For the most people watching, most concurrent viewers that I've ever had on the channel by far. And we had as many as, according to my YouTube Studio app, we had as many as 376 people watching at one point in time. That was just insane this weekend. So thanks for all of you coming out and supporting the channel. We were on the road to 1,000 subs. I don't know what the road is from here on out as far as the subscriber count, but we definitely know the road is to get myself in the broadcast booth one day. I've been adamant about it, whether it's 6 years, 16 years, however long it takes. I'm trying to grow my development in broadcasting, growing the channel along the way, taking the steps I need necessary to get there. Johnson has obviously gapped Gordon since he has passed him. He's about to catch the back of the, it's not lap traffic, it'd be lead lap traffic for him. I'm still curious as to how we got to 42nd. I didn't actually see anybody DNF. Really strange. Well, somebody did blow an engine or pull in the garage, but usually they sit on pit road, then when there's a caution, they kind of disappear from pit road and they're in the garage. So we're just not sure exactly how we got that spot. I don't think anybody else pitted when we did, but maybe I could be wrong. It wasn't that long after we passed Kenseth, so if there was going to be a driver on the racetrack that could have pitted similar to when we did, it would have had to have been Matt Kenseth. Randy Norton, Scott Wimmer just up ahead. They're crossing each other over back and forth as Johnson closes into turn 3 behind both of them. Norton was a tough car to pass earlier on in the race. Not that time with Johnson having fresher tires. Already a much faster race car as it is. So clear Scott Wimmer with ease as well. I'd imagine it'd probably be just after lap 100. Somewhere between lap 100 and lap 110 is when everybody will hit pit road. Johnson will stay out, try to lead some laps, and cut into the amount of laps led that Jeff Gordon has had so far, so he can maybe contend for most laps led with him. Just try to feel this strategy out, play this strategy out as best as he possibly can. So far, so good. A lot more steady with the car now than what he was during the first major run, or the first 2 runs on tires so far tonight. Now he himself is halfway on fuel at lap 88. Slid up the track a little bit. A major issue there. Cuts down to the bottom. 3 wide on the front stretch. Oh boy, a little contact. Got to be careful. It's definitely a dangerous spot on the track to not only be going 3 wide, but to have that minimal contact. Doesn't take much. Where we saw one of the 2 cautions today was towards the end of the front stretch. Not quite on corner entry into 1. It was about 2/3 of the way down into that second kink. Johnson slid a little bit too far wide that time, and he kisses the wall. Craven almost got back underneath him. Johnson with a big block. It's Craven off down the back straightaway again, just trying to get that momentum back as he passes the 137 into turn 3. Johnson up to 34th. Craven follows him. Ricky Craven up to 35th. There's Mark Martin and the 192 car. Those are the 2 main drivers of the 3 that got involved in that first accident of the race. They're still running, but they're both outside the top 30 right now. 92 looking to make a pass. It looks like on Martin. Johnson gets a major run, and he makes contact. Martin's in the wall after Johnson just sent it in late into the corner. Martin's going to lose even more positions off turn 4. That was not a wise move by Johnson. Wasn't enough room there. I mean, he got into the corner fine, but he drove it in so deep that he just kind of pushed up in the center, and being 3 wide on the most narrow 1.5-mile track on the schedule, that gave little room for error, and there was very minimal error. Fortunately, Martin was the one in the wall. Stewart Cope in 30th. That's unfortunate. He was in, 14th earlier in the race? Maybe he's got a super good short run car, but his long run car is not that great. I'm starting to fall back to reality a little bit. Johnson will pass him, and Cope now no longer even inside the top 30. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's a self-owned race team in that number 50 car. I believe he owns that car. Even in the early to mid-2000s, you didn't see that too much anymore in NASCAR. It's kind of that transition period where there were a lot more team mergers and a lot more, medium-sized teams kind of linking together to try and make a bigger team that could kind of compete with the Hendrick Motorsports, the Roush Fenway at the time, Richard Childress, and all that. Lap 94, we're starting to see pit stops a little bit earlier than what I originally expected. Jeff Gordon's still out on the racetrack. It's the first set of drivers who are making their way in right now. So he drives it in flat into 1, drifts up the track, but he did have a car cleared underneath him that time. And he'll hold clear down the back straightaway, moving off the top and throwing a block, it looks like. Gonna get a little out of shape, though, into 3. Still holds clear off 4. Almost let that car get back underneath him again. Johnson's definitely picked up aggressiveness, it looks like, during this tire stint. Now that we're just past halfway through, between that and the tires wearing out, it's kind of harder to hold that same line all the way through the corner as well. Ryan Vickers into the pits. Jeff Gordon still on the racetrack trying to get as many laps led as possible. He knows Johnson will be leading here shortly. Johnson short pitted and has cut into that lead. He's less than 22 seconds behind Gordon now. Originally being a lap down when he came off of the pit lane. Cycled out right around the back half of the top 10. Johnson is a little bit past halfway through his fuel run and his fuel window as well. I mean, compared to Gordon, he's not going to lead that many laps. Especially if Gordon's still staying out. Again, Gordon stays out of the pits. The problem is, Gordon stays out too long, he might lose the lead to guys like Harvick and Dale Jr., who are second and third behind him. Right front end of the yellow for us, wearing out a little bit more. Gordon could be staying out. Had 2 cautions already in the first quarter of the race today, so maybe he was staying out for the sake of the yellow. Kevin Harvick stays out an extra lap longer than Gordon, so that will give Kevin Harvick his first lap led of the race, 5 bonus points, and I believe Harvick is the 8th different leader in the first 100 laps in the Coke 600. So in the first 150 miles, we've had 8 different leaders now. Gordon pit that time. Johnson flies by Joe Nemechek. Harvick now making his way onto pit road off turn 4, second place. Still has to pit as well behind Harvick, if he has not already made his way on pit road. Here comes somebody right now on the pit lane. Whoever it was, that was second place. So Harvick led that lap of the line as well. So he gets 2 laps led in that transitional period and green flag pit stops. Jimmy Johnson will make the official lead change this time by when he gets back to the start-finish line. We'll see how much ground he has made up over Gordon and really the rest of the field, whoever's in second place. So we'll probably start to cut into that deficit on the 48 car. It's like off turn 4 this time is about 14.3 seconds. So 14.3 second lead as we're a quarter of the way into the Coke 600 here at Charlotte. I guess Lowe's Motor Speedway at this time, now known as the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Had as many as 9 people watching in the very early going of the race. Hit that like button, everybody. Only 5 likes currently. And you can definitely see that gap being closed already in 1 lap. Whoever's in second place, which again I would assume it's Jeff Gordon. Not 100% sure, of course, but whoever it is, they gained 0.2 of a second on Johnson in 1 lap. Then Johnson will lose the lead when he ends up short pitting the second time through if we have a long enough green flag run. Really, until we get another caution, these guys are going to be off strategy. 48 short pitted his second stop. No tire limits like we have in NASCAR Heat 5. I don't plan on doing any tire limits when NASCAR 21 Ignition comes out, unless they have like that option in the game, like in the rules or something, or the gameplay settings. I wish they do. That'd be pretty cool. It'd add another element to the game. And it would be like that for the AI too, so it wouldn't be like that just for me. It'd be fun kind of calculating everything, but other than that, I don't plan on making any rules. I only really did it for the career mode, because even in the Cup Series races, we did in the Xfinity and the Truck Series, even on the championship mode, but in the Cup Series on the championship mode, we didn't until the career mode, and I only decided to make that change just to add another element to it. And we had tested it out with the trucks in the Xfinity Series, and it was kind of fun, at least for me, managing them. Made it a little harder on certain tracks. Strategy, when to pit, when not to pit, especially if the cautions were flowing at an abundant rate. Well, that leads down to 13.7 seconds, so already 0.6 of a second. Then closed in on Johnson in about 4 or 5 laps. Pace not quite 0.2 a second a lap like it originally was the first lap or two. They're still closing in on him and will continue to close until Johnson pits. He's got about a quarter of a tank left of fuel. He's going to stay out until he absolutely can't stay out any longer. That way we'll get a good range of exactly how many laps he can go on fuel if it does stay green that long. So he pit at lap 53, so it has been a little over 50 laps as it is. Got the 16 of Greg Biffle right in front of him. Into turns 1 and 2. Michael Turner, welcome to the stream. Johnson inside Biffle in 1 and 2, trying to put the Biffle lap down. And the two USA colors run side by side down the back straightaway into turn 3. We're trying to side draft a little bit, but he's not going to hold on much longer. In the corners, he definitely gave up the room for Johnson to get underneath him. I think he knows Jimmy's going to have to pit somewhat soon, and Biffle will get back on the lead lap as long as we don't get a caution between now and then. And even if that happens, Biffle at least currently is in the lucky dog position. And we got 10 people currently watching. Yeah, I did see like the very, very little gameplay I've been able to see on YouTube that it is an option that you can change the left sides only if you want. I will say if we do a tire limit rule, we're not going to do it for season 1. I plan on doing 2 season modes or championship modes and a career mode is what I plan on doing for the gameplay for NASCAR 21 Ignition. So I think our first season is going to be kind of that testing season for what I might do for rule changes leading into the career mode in season 2. I'm planning on doing something different with the career mode again. Obviously, we have no clue exactly what the career mode is going to look like until the game releases. But what I'm planning on doing is I'm planning on doing those as premieres and uploads. I plan on doing full races if I can for the career mode, but I plan on chopping it up, so they're probably only going to be like 20 to 40 minute videos is probably what I'll shoot on for the career mode stuff. Probably 40 minutes. That way I get a good like couple minutes at the beginning of the video setting everything up, couple minutes at the end of the video reviewing everything, and then the race highlights itself. But that's kind of what I plan on doing for the career mode. But we will still definitely be live streaming the championship mode stuff on the channel. And it will be daily uploads. So, you know, we might not stream every day necessarily. I think during the off season there's more of a chance of it. But as we like roll into next season, especially if we, you know, go into a lot more races again, I'll be at Daytona and I'll be gone for literally a full week. I think it'll just be easier for me to record gameplay of the career mode, and then we'll do the live streams with the season mode and the championship mode. Obviously, this classic game still too, all the classic game series we run. So that's kind of like the game plan for when NASCAR 21 Ignition drops here in a few weeks. 3 weeks from 2 days ago. So we got less than 20 days now until the release. Biffle is not going anywhere. Johnson got around him on a pretty quick basis, no more than a half a lap really, but Biffle is been within 2 car lengths of him and sometimes kind of pulling up really close behind him. Not battling him though, so it's not really slowing the 48 car down at all. That lead though has been trimmed pretty considerably. It's 14.3 seconds. Now it's down to 12.4, so almost 2 seconds gain faster for those drivers on 35 to 40 lap fresher tires. And that has only been, ideally, since Gordon pit at least, in about a 10 to 15 lap range. The tires are definitely making a difference. This is an older surface at the Lowe's Motor Speedway at this time. It was repaved in 2005. This is 2004, so this is actually the last year on this current surface. They it was weird because in 2005 they repaved it. They didn't reconfigure it, but the paving they put down on it was similar to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway at the time, so it was kind of like grainier. And Goodyear did not have a great tire compound for that race. And Obviously, Indianapolis is a much flatter track, a lot different than what it is at Charlotte, where it's banked. So the speeds on corner entry might not be as high, but you're not having to brake as much. So the tires couldn't hold up in the middle of the corners and on the exit of the corners as much. And you were seeing like tire failures, you were seeing a bunch of crashes. I think that was the record in 2005 for the most amount of cautions in a single NASCAR race at that time, at least. I think Martinsville ended up setting the record like a couple years or a year or two later, but at that time, that had set the record. I don't believe that is the record anymore, but I think there was 20 cautions or 21, 22 cautions, somewhere around there, and made for the longest Coke 600 in history of over 5 hours in length. Ended up with a good finish, though. Jimmy Johnson, photo finish, beat Bobby Labonte. And then after that, they ended up running on a newer surface from the fall race on that year in Charlotte. So it was kind of like a one-off, a terrible experiment, I guess you could say, with the surface of the racetrack in Charlotte that year. Fuel tank almost empty here for Johnson. Trying to stay out as long as he possibly can. He's already made it 65 laps, lap 66 now on this current fuel run. All 4 tires into the yellow. Tires are definitely wearing out. Biffle has been all over his back bumper really the last lap to lap and a half. Biffle's been really close to getting underneath the 48 car, and as Johnson slides up the track on the older tires now, it looks like Biffle will get around him. Johnson will let the Biff get on by and let him clear him off turn 4, and finally let him go and get back on the lead lap. It's going to be less pressure behind the 48 for when he does decide to pit as well. Which we'll be doing here very shortly, as you see. Biffle going wide, it looks like, once again. Johnson underneath him. Has not cleared him yet. Still hasn't cleared him, getting into turn 1. Now he's clear. So much for Biffle. Get back on the lead lap. He's a lap down again. He'll be getting that lap back shortly. Lap 57 of this run. Jimmy Johnson going to pit this time by off turn 4. 67 laps on fuel. Did a great job not speeding there. Very great job not even locking the tires up either. No adjustments, 4 tires and fuel for the 48 of Johnson. His 3rd pit stop of the day at lap 121. So from lap 53 to lap 121, if I do my math correctly, that would be a 68 lap run, or a 67 lap tire stint. Pretty good. See where Johnson will cycle out of the pits. Will remain on the lead lap. Even by the time he gets up to speed, he should be on the lead lap ahead of the likes of Jeff Gordon and the rest of the leaders. Kevin Harvick is probably up there as well. Johnson's got plenty of room to pull up onto the racetrack, too. He's got no traffic around him. Good scenario to get out there on these fresher tires. 27.3 seconds off the lead for Gordon. The time of him coming out of the pits, and he's back to the 27th position. I believe when the pit stop started, he was 22nd, and he was about 21 seconds roughly off the lead of Gordon when Gordon finally pit. So about 67 more laps. Lap 122. That would take us to lap 189 before Johnson would make his next pit stop, unless we get a caution before that. Johnson under his teammate Vickers. Boy, Vickers has lost a lot of ground. He was in the top 10 earlier, and now he's back to 27th as Johnson passes him into turn 1 for position. Johnson under that 198 car, generated driver who started at the back of the field today as well. The 25th, now back to 26th. Vickers going to get underneath the 168 car, or 198 car, as well. Ward Burton, Mike Murphy side by side. Johnson underneath Murphy quickly. Following the 0 of Ward Burton. Now to the outside of Ward Burton. Entering into turn 1. Johnson did not grip up well on corner entry that time. On the brakes quite a bit, trying to get the car slowed up. Stays in front of Murphy down the back straightaway. It's definitely holding him up here a little bit. Also a little loose off turn 4, but he was desperately trying to cut underneath the 0. He was trusting those fresher tires. He's only got about 5 laps on right now, and he'll clear Burton into turn 1. Murphy going to cut underneath the 0 as well in the middle of 1 and 2. And follow the lane of the 48, put down. Scrape off the wall off turn 2. Michael, to go back to what you were stating earlier, too, with NASCAR 21 Ignition, I feel like in today's game, or today's NASCAR, that would be more prevalent to be able to change lefts or right sides, especially on the racetracks with the 550 package, that there are a lot of tracks that don't really wear the tires out as much, that you could take 2 tires and you're perfectly okay. Like we saw at Texas last year that guys were taking left sides only just because they could go literally 100 laps on right sides. No problem, and it was the left front that was almost kind of chewing stuff up. So I wonder if the game might be realistic in that aspect as well, where some tracks that is the case. So maybe you take right sides to get that track position. Hey, if the air movement is just like it is in real life, you know, more accurate than what Heat 5 is in real life with the 550 tracks, and that could work. Too deep into 1, kind of flatlined it there. Tapping the apron. Jeffries, welcome to the stream. Johnson underneath a check. Getting the pass into turn 3. Jeff Green. Dale Jarrett a little bit further up the way. Still a little bit too far out, especially considering that we can get, you know, another caution or so. I would imagine the way we had 2 cautions in the first 50 laps of the race, and we are going to get another caution at some point. It's just a matter of when, I feel like, rather than how. It might take until 50 laps to go, but I just don't see this race going over 350 laps green to the end. I know things are getting spaced out now, but I mean, we're definitely going to be seeing some engine failures. We really haven't seen any. I know we have had one, but we haven't really seen an engine failure at all today ourselves. And that could cause some trouble as we get into the second half and beyond in this race, just with how long the race itself is. Jarrett trying to make a pass on Marlin for position into turn 1 as they battle for 18th, holding each other up, allowing Johnson to close in quickly. Greg Biffle in front of these guys. Not that far in front of him either. They're catching Biffle quickly. Biffle used his tires up trying to race Johnson when Johnson was on older tires earlier. Leading a few laps off this alternating strategy. Johnson just pretty much junked the 88 of Jarrett out of the way there. It actually hurt the 48 more than it hurt the 88 because he lost a lot of ground off turn 2. That was just not wise. I definitely should have tried backing the corner up a little bit more. Taking my time trying to get around Jarrett because now he's probably going to block me. Marlin on the inside of Biffle. Jarrett kind of drifting up the track a little bit. Johnson going to try to undercut him off the exit of turn 2 and does, and he is underneath the 88. I try to pick him behind a slower lead lap car, Greg Biffle. That's exactly what's going to happen. And Johnson just kind of follows Sterling Marlin now through the corner as they close in on another Chip Ganassi Dodge of Casey Mears. 41 car. Johnson under Marlin. These are spots per position, though, too. Johson's up to 17th, even on the alternating strategy. Problem is, he's still 21 Sorry, 22.1 seconds off the lead from Gordon. So they do have to pit the same amount of times at the end of the race. At some point, Johnson's going to have to make up 22 seconds. Again, that's where I'm banking on there being a caution. I don't think we're going to go green to the end, so I don't think short pitting earlier in the race was a bad decision at all. If it gets us more laps led, bonus. You know, that was the design. Get more laps led and eventually get back on the same strategy with a caution at some point in this race anyway. So ideally, if the caution came out when we're leading to get back on the same strategy, that would be the ideal situation. But, you know, worst case scenario, now that we know we're not going to lose a lap on this strategy, unlike when we pitted originally the first time under green on this strategy, then at least we know we're going to be in the top however many cars are on the lead lap right now, and we will be on the lead lap. We won't have to come from a lap down. So I do think this is the way to go. It just makes it harder, though, when the fastest car in the field, which we know this from the All-Star race last night, is leading here tonight at Charlotte as well. Gordon trying to go for his third win of the season. Johnson 2 wins himself in the regular season. He's got 2 non-points paying victories. A dual win at Daytona earlier this year, and of course the All-Star race win. The other exhibition races, Rusty Wallace won the Budweiser Shootout, and Jeff Green won the second dual race at Daytona, leading to the Daytona 500. So that is the only rookie to win this year, but it was not a points-paying race for the 43 of Green. And Wallace doesn't have a win this season either, outside of that exhibition win to start the year. Now the pit stop started for the rest of the field at lap 94. Not sure if they could go quite as far on fuel as Johnson. Johnson went 67 laps, but we'll say theoretically they can. That would take these guys to about lap 161, so about another 20 laps, maybe less, before the rest of the field ends up hitting pit road. Yeah, we get an actual career race with NASCAR 21 Ignition. I'm excited about that. I will have to kind of spoil myself that very first live stream we do that on October 26th with our Daytona 500 to Season 1 of the NASCAR 21 Ignition video game, but I'm going to have to, like, log in, like, probably start another season mode and then delete it immediately just to, like, see how it is, how it looks, how the audio is with that, so that way when I start the stream, if I want to just start it with that, or if I want to, you know, get my spiel out of the way, then roll into that. We'll just have to wait to see when the time comes. I don't know the details right now. But Johnson taking a risk on the front stretch. 3 wide under Jamie McMurray, who was 4th position. Then the lap car of Randy Norton was on the high side. They both cleared him into 1, and then they were side by side. And off the exit 2, Johnson is clear of McMurray. Big run under his teammate, Terry Labonte, now underneath Ryan Newman into turn 3. Wallace almost cut down on top of Johnson. Johnson coming in hot on fresh tires, and Jimmy Johnson is inside the top 10. Again, we look at the interval of the race leader. He's still 18.2 seconds off the lead from Gordon, but he has worked his way into the top 10 on the strategy call. So again, position-wise, it's not bad. It's just the interval. Jeff Gordon's got a bad fast car tonight. So far, compared to the end of the first run to where we're at in this run now, Johnson has gained about 3 seconds. He was 21 seconds off the lead earlier. Now he's about 17.8 seconds off the lead now. Definitely kept that car a lot cleaner going off strategy, getting A little bit more separation, not battling as hard because he's not with an equally fast Gordon car, if not faster. Jeff Gordon race car. You wonder who's going to be on the attack if this race did stay green to the end. Would it be Gordon on the attack on pressure tires, or will it be Johnson at that time on pressure tires trying to run down Gordon? It's going to be one or the other if it did stay green. Joshua Rumsey, welcome to the stream. Lap times are about 30 seconds. I mean, Johnson's fastest lap is a 30.381. That last lap was a 30.519. Almost halfway through the fuel run. Johnson down way low to get underneath the 137. Playing PGA 2K21. There you go. It's definitely a difficult golf game. It's fun, but it is hard. Like, it's a lot harder than what the EA Sports games were, because, like, the EA Sports games are kind of easy to play, and I guess that's, kind of a downfall. I remember that Rory McIlroy PGA game that EA Sports came out with, which I believe is the last one to this point that EA had the license for a PGA game, and that was just super easy. Like, on the hardest difficulty, it was just too easy. Like, even for me. And I, like you guys see me run well in NASCAR games. I'm good overall at sports games because I've played them my whole life, but when I say that was easy, I mean it was like way too easy. It was like our current career mode season easy on NASCAR Heat 5. Where, I mean, you just like, as your overall gets better, like it's kind of hard at the beginning because your overall is lower. But once your overall gets like to an 80 or above, I mean, you're just basically dominating tournaments left and right. The more you're winning, the more your overall's going up, the more you're getting attribute points for your players overall with the putting, like everything just gets better and better, and the game just gets easier and easier. Like there was like even when you got better, it wasn't like the competition got better. It was just the competition was at a standard level, and once you got to that level, they couldn't really get above it. Beat the Rory McIlroy game in 2 hours. Yeah, it's a stupid easy game. 2 hours is a little extreme, only because it depends, I guess. Like if you play like a full round for all your tournaments, you're not gonna. I mean, it'll take a couple hours just to finish a tournament up, but yeah, it was really easy. I think the best EA Sports golf game was Tiger Woods at the Masters. That was probably the best one. I had a lot of fun with that game. A couple more lead lap cars up here of Bobby Labonte, Casey Kane, Elliott Sadler. Trying to get around, I believe Mark Martin, lap car up there, 192. We know for a fact is a lap down. Yeah, it's definitely a hard game, but it's a good challenge. The technique is a lot more like actual golf. It's more realistic, I feel like, than the later installments of the EA games. A little contact between Johnson and Labonte. Great job by Johnson keeping it off the wall. Similar to when he got into the right rear of Randy Norton getting into a corner earlier in the race. Can't remember if that was turn 1 or turn 3 when that happened, but it was very, very similar there. Johnson on fresher tires and is definitely on the attack. Green flag pit stop starting on lap 155. Some of these drivers just not quite going as far as, say, what Jimmy Johnson went. Less than 14 seconds off the lead. I would assume a lot of these cars in front of Johnson are likely going to pit this time. Casey Kane pits. Johnson with a big run underneath Labonte and now Kurt Busch. Johnson under Sadler. Clears in. A couple cars for position, just pit that last time by. Gordon's still on the track and he'll stay out again. Won the FedEx Cup, but it wasn't easy. Yeah, I've really only played like a couple hours of that game. I need to get back into it at some point. I think just with actually golfing, like, you know, I just don't have time to play other games. Like, I get them, and then I just don't play them as much as I want to. But during the wintertime, when I'm not going to be golfing, you know, anymore because I live in Ohio, it's just going to be too cold, and the courses are going to be closed, and there's going to be snow on the ground, then yeah, I'm definitely going to play them. For sure. That'll probably end up being another one of those games because I really haven't played much of it. But it's a fun game. If you're a golfer, I'd highly recommend it. Challenge for sure. It's one of those games where like you can almost kind of learn stuff and apply it to your actual game as well. Very realistic. Just into how to approach it and the strategies of golf. Jeff Gordon still on the track. Johnson has gotten to within 12.3 seconds. Gordon stays out another lap. The longer he stays out, the more and more Jimmy Johnson will close. So we'll see. I can't remember, Joshua. Did you say you play golf at all? I know Billy Kramer in the chat, he golfs. I can't remember who else golfs in the chat, but I think there's one or two other people. Kevin Harvick going to stay out. Lead another lap as well. Gordon has by far led the most up to this point. Johnson's probably led the second most. Guesstimations, educated guesses. Harvick only stayed out one lap longer than Gordon the last time. Gordon pit at lap 160, Harvick at lap 161. Harvick going to stay out at least 2 laps this time. Second place just hit pit road. Johnson about 5.8 seconds behind Harvick. I wonder if he can actually catch him during the next run. Oh, you don't play actual golf. I know there's somebody else. Harvick's still out on the racetrack. 198 cars holding up Jimmy Johnson. Johnson finally gets underneath them into turns 1 and 2. Johnson less than 5 seconds now behind Harvick. Will Harvick pit this time? Yes, he will. So Kevin Harvick ducks on the pit road off turn 4. Jimmy Johnson leads. And an official lead change at the start-finish line that time. So Johnson back out in front at the Lowe's Motor Speedway. He pit at lap 121. Or 122, I should say. Well, yeah, it was lap 121, so. We would say about lap 188, 189 is what we're looking at. Assuming he makes it 67 laps again. For sure, I'm the worst golfer in the world. Hey, you gotta understand. There's a lot of bad golfers out there. I've seen some bad golf. Both when I played on the golf team in high school and in leagues, and they're everywhere. I mean, I struggle at times, especially in the last couple months. Struggle pretty bad. It's not the worst I've struggled since I've gotten good, but maybe the longest period of time I've struggled. Usually I'll get in a funk for like a week, and then I'll break out of it, or maybe 2 weeks at the most, but it's been like a month and a half. Just kind of meh performances more often than not. Harvick on these fresher tires trying to put that pressure on Johnson to get back on the lead lap. Johnson trying to pinch him off the exit of 4. There's a little bit of contact. Both cars kept it off the wall. Great job, though. Johnson definitely kind of started it, though, off the exit of 4. He definitely crowded Harvick, who was already underneath him. Not only going to slow Harvick down, but slowed the 48 down just a little bit more, helping out Gordon in second. Also helps him pull away from the 29 of Harvick on top of it for when Johnson ends up making his pit stop, giving Gordon the lead again. Harvick will definitely charge back after the 48. Wants to hold him a lap down, but I don't think Johnson wants to see any more contact between him and Harvick again, so he may just let him go this time through. So Johnson's teammate Brian Vickers gonna let him go. Vickers still on the high side. He's already 1 lap down, so he's just trying not to go a second lap down. Johnson clears him in turns 1 and 2. Harvick to the inside of Vickers now behind the 48. I think there are some fantasy courses on PGA 2K21 though too, so that may be some of it. And I think there were some new courses they were able to get licensing for as well that the EA Sports games, if you're more familiar with that, were not able to get. Harvick will get around Jimmy Johnson through turns 3 and 4. Vickers almost did. Johnson holds him up. Harvick going to the outside there. Johnson gets underneath him though off the exit of 2. Harvick with the run on the high side will hold clear down the back straightaway. Vickers now to the inside of Jimmy Johnson. Johnson lifts off 4. He'll let his teammate get back by him again. Vickers does have fresher tires. Doesn't want to just keep letting cars pass him, but I'm going to give him the space. I guess might as well. Looks like Johnson will get back underneath Vickers off turn 2. As well as Vickers goes wide into 1 and 2. Johnson just trying to be patient as well. Still in the first half of this long race. Yeah, I haven't played all the... I've only really played a few hours of that game. I have no clue what all the courses are on. And don't they have like 20 courses or just over 20 courses in the game? Stinks they don't have Augusta on it, though. to kind of tag the wall there a little bit. Off the exit of turn 4, Vickers got back around him as Johnson really slid all the way from corner entry to corner exit. Look how much Harvick's pulling away from him on those fresher tires. Doesn't help that the 25 and the 48 keep going back and forth either. Johnson side drafts to 25, corner entry into 3. And he'll clear Vickers back again. I wish they had TPC Myrtle Beach on there only because I played that course. Let's see. One of, I think 2 or 3 professional courses I've ever played. Or maybe 4. I don't know if the Centennial in Tennessee is a professional course or not. I played there on the way back from Talladega last year and on the way down to Dega this year. It was on the drive, not that far off I-75 near, I think it's just north of Knoxville, Tennessee. I played that twice now. I only played 9 holes when I played there last year because I think I was driving back, and because in October, I mean, it gets dark, early about 7 o'clock. I was only going to have time for 9. It was like at that point where I got off the course at like 5, but they weren't going to let me play another 9, which if I would have gotten held off even just a little bit, it probably wouldn't have gotten done, so it made sense. But I got there early enough. I think I had a 10 a.m. tee time. That, in April, it gets darker, maybe closer to 7:30, 8 o'clock, so I was able to get a full 18 in. That's a tough course, though. That's probably one of the toughest courses I played. That and TPC Myrtle Beach are the 2 toughest courses I played. It's hit or miss. Like, I played of the probably 3 or 4, because I don't know if the Centennial is, but of the 3 or 4 professional courses I played, 2 of them I played really well front and back. It wasn't difficult for me personally. And then the other 2 I played just completely terrible, which would have been the Centennial and TPC Myrtle Beach. I think TPC Myrtle Beach I shot like a 95 or 96. And that's somewhere around there with the Centennial. TPC, and the weird thing is there though, it's just like the greens are so hard. And the greens were just, there's so much slope to it. And I'm like a really good putter because they had some shorter holes I was able to capitalize. Like I drove the green on a par 4, and then I ended up 3-putting for bogey. And I rarely 3-putt, but that's just how difficult the greens were. That, and I had like a mile-long putt for my first one after pulling out my driver and just getting to the front of the green. That probably made it tougher on me. I probably would have been better off if I would have probably chipped on and then probably could have 2-putted at least to get the par, but felt like that was my best chance at birdie, and I still bogeyed with a good drive. It was short enough of a par 4 there, though, that it was like right at 300 yards, or like maybe like just past it. I got a good enough roll. That one, you're playing in humidity, which that time of the year it would have been when I went to Darlington last year. So you're talking like summertime. It's hot, humid still, early September, so the ball's gonna fly a lot more. So yeah, I can hit the driver, 300 yards on average, like 280 to 300, but there wasn't really much wind that day. It was all like the humidity carrying the ball that extra 20 yards. That was just to get to the front. I don't think we're going to be talking that much golf today. Well, I guess it's a 600-mile race. You got to fill up some of the points where we're not going to talk as much with something. Tony Stewart trying to battle with Jimmy Johnson. Get back on the lead lap. He'll get to the inside after quickly passing Brian Vickers just before. Cleared. Vickers again to the inside of Johnson, who kind of slid the tires a little bit on corner entry. I think that Vickers is the one holding Jimmy up like this, considering that those 2 are teammates. Vickers is a rookie, so maybe a bit of a rookie mistake here. Oh, Johnson was going to pit between lap 187 to 189, 188. He should be able to get to at least lap 190. Maybe I did my math wrong earlier. No, that's not. No, I did my math right. It would have been about 67 laps. Lap 189 from lap 122. It's definitely going to be the longest Johnson has made it on fuel. Vickers cross Johnson over. Johnson crosses him right back in 1 and 2. Almost halfway home. Big slide off turn 4. He did stay in front of the 25 that time, though, and hung on to it. Stayed in the gas. Johnson's probably going to go to lap 190, 191, and then hit pit road. That's still about a lap or two longer than what he went the fuel run before that. So closer to the end of his fuel run would be the perfect time to get a caution. We were going to get one. Johnson's done a masterful job, though, getting to pit road. This isn't a very tough pit road to get onto in Charlotte. Actually, really, a mile and a half is one of the easier pit roads to get onto. Vickers to the inside of Johnson off turn 4. Jimmy holding on for now. He stays in front of the 25. He drifted up a little wide off turn 4, but Vickers wasn't able to capitalize. Johnson slides up now in the center of 1 and 2. Vickers again going to try the inside. Side drops a 48. He should have the run into turn 3 now. Johnson up high. Jimmy wasn't going to pick quite that time anyway. Johnson might cross Vickers over again. My goodness. Lap 191, so 69 laps so far in this current fuel run. Johnson underneath Vickers into 1 and 2. Oh, man, Johnson ran out of gas off turn 2. He was going to pit this time by at lap 191. This is going to cost him a lot of time. Johnson all the way down to the apron, so out of gas off turn 2. Well, we know exactly how far we can run it at the most now. I thought it was too good to be true to make it 2 laps longer. Well, we know we can go 1 lap longer. 4 tires and fuel coming for Johnson. No adjustments here. And that is going to cost him some time with going off strategy. Again, that was definitely not ideal. TRG Eternal Tornado, welcome to the stream. Just picked up NASCAR 4, installing now. NASCAR Heat 4. Nice, nice, nice. Oh, you asked about it the other day. Hopefully you enjoy it. Yeah, this is definitely tough for Jimmy Johnson because he is... we'll wait till he gets up to speed here, but 25.9 seconds off the lead. That is tough because that's about... He was about 24 seconds off the lead after the last set of pit stops, so he lost 1.9 seconds during that entire run just because of running out of fuel off turn 2. Really was the only reason he lost 1.9 seconds. So just imagine how much more he would have been able to gain on Gordon. Well, now he's going to have to gain it back again and then some. Johnson on the attack once again with fresher tires, but that's going to help Jeff Gordon out just that much more. So we know 68 laps. We're not going to go past 68 because that was 69 laps and we ran out of fuel off turn 2. So 68 laps will be our limit. From lap 191, that will take us to lap 2:59. So lap 2:59 will be the next pit stop if we do go green up to it. Ethan, welcome to the stream. Johnson trying to get back up on it. Haven't had to make any adjustment changes to the 48 car yet. You guys are confusing me here. 259, 327, 295. Which one is it? No, I think it's 259. If it's not 259, it's 257. Yeah, it's 259. That would be 68. 68 laps from when we pitted. So 68 laps as much as we can go on fuel. That's our window. Man, can't we make it on 2 stops the rest of the race? If it did go green to the end. 2 stops in the entire second half of the race. And a little beyond that. And Johnson's got to make up this time that he lost that last run. He was making it up. He got to within 12 seconds before Gordon hit the pits that time, but he's all the way back again. Running out of gas off turn 2. And he would have lost a little bit of that time anyway, with Gordon having fresher tires for about 25 laps, but I mean, I'd probably say no more than 18 seconds off the lead if we didn't run out of gas. So it's my fault. Just kind of miscalculated. I wouldn't say miscalculated, just kind of pushed it too far. Yeah, we went 67 laps before that. We didn't run it dry. That time we ran it dry, so we know about 68. 68 in the third laps is the exact maximum we can go on fuel here at Charlotte on a full fuel run. Tyler Burback, welcome to the stream. Go, Jimmy, go, indeed. Oh, yeah, 327 would be 259 plus 68, so that would be 73 laps. So what, we're looking about 5 laps short on fuel. 5 laps short on fuel. That's a little painful, I'm not going to lie. But again, I was banking on us getting another caution at some point, but now that we're halfway home, you wonder if we're going to get another caution. I mean, we know the rest of the field is 2 stops out from the finish. No matter what, Jeff Gordon, those guys, they're 2 stops out from the end. But will Johnson have to make an extra stop? Did he pit just 5 laps too early when he went off schedule way back at lap 53? I mean, who would have expected that to happen? I didn't do my math that far out in advance because I didn't know exactly how far out on fuel we could go. This is our first trip to Charlotte for a points race. Yeah, we had the All-Star race last night, but we didn't have to go a full tank of gas in that race. We had to make a mandatory 4-tire pit stop in segment 1, which was only 40 laps. So we didn't go anywhere close to 68 laps on fuel. Final 2 segments alone, plus those extra couple laps. I mean, we maybe went 52, 53 laps at the most. And we knew we could go a little bit beyond that. No problem. Now we know it's 15 laps further. So this is an interesting situation here for Johnson. He would like to not pit an extra time. He just passed Casey Kane to get back inside the top 10 quickly. And who knows, again, not only if we get a caution, but say we do, where's it going to fall? Would that put us in an even different kind of tighter box for a pit window? Plus, you got to figure caution comes out, we're going to save 3 laps of fuel too. So depending on what part of the race we get the caution, do we stay out, then we only have to save 2 laps to the end. We get 2 cautions from now to the end of the race, I think Johnson's going to be about a lap to the good on fuel with just 2 more stops. So caution could save fuel as well. Johnson said didn't want to lose the track position, but he'd have to take every run as far as he possibly can on top of it. So this is definitely turned into a very interesting situation as we get further and further into this race. This could be an exciting end to the Coke 600. Johnson's cut that lead down to 20.1 seconds on Gordon. Then he was about 25.8 seconds off the lead. That's under 20 seconds off turn 2, so he's pulling up pretty quickly here. Gordon pit at lap 160. So about 31 lap pressure tires on the 48 of Johnson right now. Yeah, I saw that. It's definitely seeming more and more likely like Johnson's going to run the Indy 500 next year, which is why I want, like, if I'm going to go to the Indy 500, what better year would it be to go than when a NASCAR driver is in it, or a former NASCAR driver? And you can't get any better in the modern era than Jimmy Johnson, or, well, okay, Dale Sr. too, but, you know, I guess that's still with us, sad as that is to say that, you know, Johnson, at least, you know, even if Dale was still around, I guarantee he would not be racing Indy cars in his 60s. Probably, what, he'd be over 70 years old now. I think he was 51 when he passed away, so he'd be in his early 70s. I don't think he'd be attempting any Indy 500s anytime soon. That'd just be nuts. Thought Derek Cope at 62 in the Daytona 500 was dangerous. Imagine I don't care if you're a 7-time champ, but just imagine a 70-plus-year-old and Indy going over 200, or I should say trying to go over 200 miles an hour. I don't know if they would eclipse it. I know Mario Andretti's up there. He does like he drives like that test car, the two-seater, but I don't think he's going 200. He's probably going like 150, 160. I doubt he's going over 200 miles an hour, especially with a passenger. Like, I just think that's illegal to even do anyway. There's so many who, I mean, I guess they signed the waiver, but considering you're putting their life on the line at that point, you still could be at 150, 160, but every like 10 miles an hour you go upwards, it makes a big difference. We saw that with Ryan Newman's crash in the 500 a couple years ago. Johnson struggling to try and get around Kurt Busch. You can tell it's the second half of the race now. Kurt was trying to block quite a bit down the back straightaway. Hold on for a little bit, but Johnson has fresher tires, was ultimately going to get around him eventually. And Elliott Sadler will be for position. I'm not sure if Joe Nemechek's for position or not. We'll see. And he was not. So Nemechek was a lap down. Sadler is on the lead lap. Johnson underneath him down the back straightaway quickly. Really flat corner into 3. Sadler trying to hold the 48 down there. But again, fresher tires prevail. Johnson to 6th. So just like that, Johnson has gotten up to 6th, but he's still 17 seconds off the lead. Trying to just find time on Jeff Gordon with these fresher tires. We know he's going to have fresher tires one more time. I should say 2 more times, but the second time might not be as long, nearly as long. Robbie, welcome to the stream. Oh, jeez. I think I said big wreck. It was a decent hit into the wall. It wasn't quite gigantic like our crew chief might have stated. One of the few times Johnson's got into the wall, but that cost him time. He's right back to 17 seconds up the lead. There's a few tenths lost, and he's going to need all he can get the rest of this race. This is an intense battle for the most laps led between Gordon and Johnson as well. They keep trading off halfway through the runs, but I believe Gordon led a lot more than Johnson before Johnson made his pit stop at lap 53. Johnson really only led a few laps before that, and Gordon had led most of the race up in those first 53 laps. Yeah, Michael Annett retiring at the end of the year. Matt Kenseth's going to short pit. So Kenseth, who was in 5th, will dive onto pit road. So he's pulling a little bit of a strategy out of Matt Kenseth's playbook, where he's going to short pit now. And he should be just 2 stops to the end from there, but there's no way he is going to make it on just one more stop. Jeff Burton coming down as well, so 2 of the Roush Fenway cars are short pitting all of a sudden. One lap after another. Very interesting call by the Fenway group. Murphy trying to block Jimmy Johnson. Johnson out of shape, way down low. Into turn 3, got another car pitting off turn 4. That would be Jeff Green in the 43. He's a lapper. A couple other cars down in the pits right now as well. On top of Jeff Burton, who's making his way off the pit lane. So very interesting. We got a lot of, not a lot, but we got a decent amount of drivers pitting. Have to keep an eye on the 24 of Gordon if he pits anytime soon, or maybe Harvick, who's in 2nd, pits anytime soon, because that would really, really kind of be hurtful for Johnson if Gordon actually pit. Because then Gordon's going to have fresher tires in the 48 now, and he's still 15 seconds off the lead. The only bright side is he could lead more laps, but that's if all the cars behind Gordon and in front of Johnson still would have to pit as well. Tony Stewart's up there, Dale Jr., and Kevin Harvick, I think, are the 3 drivers between Gordon and Johnson on the racetrack. Yeah, I think we could agree that Coke should probably not have been running in the Daytona 500 this season. It's one thing to be at that age and be racing on like a short track or something, but not a track where you're going, especially at that time before they kind of governed the speeds down even more. They were still going, the pack at least, 200 miles an hour. Only cars ahead of Johnson in the running order of pit. This is, man, you thought the strategy was different between Johnson and the rest of the field, but now we got 3 different strategies going on. We got the drivers that are still out there that we know can make it on 2 stops, and you got Johnson, who's questionable on making it on 2 stops. There's probably, by my calculations, about 5 laps short. And now you got drivers that are pitting now just to get their next stop out of the way, maybe try to get some fresher tires, and pulls back in on the group of leaders. And now more stops have been made. Gordon's still on the track. So is 2nd place. We had 2 more drivers in the top 5 pit that time. I did not see everybody pitting right now. Joshua thinks Allmendinger wins in the Xfinity Series. Never know. Never know. Let's go back to that Michael Annett situation. I hope he at least runs in some capacity. You just hate to see a driver end their career basically off an injury, which is essentially what happened. It's been lingering with him. I think part of the thing is, too, he ran for back market teams for so long, Cup, Xfinity. Then he finally got a very quality top-tier ride in the Xfinity Series. He got his win. I don't think he wants to run for another team that's not top quality, but looking at the results he's also had too, even when healthy, that I just don't think it, kind of earns a top tier ride even in the Xfinity series. And so if they're not going to offer to him, I think he's just going to retire and not take it. Maybe some super speedway starts is the only time I see something else. Now we have a caution, our third of the race. And I mentioned right from that last yellow we had earlier, we were not done with the cautions. The 169 car, Jimmy Lane goes for a spin. Looks like Matt Kenseth and Jeff Green piled in from behind. So spin off turn 4, big hit to the right side door of the 169, head on as he got T-boned by Matt Kenseth. Jeff Green into the back of Kenseth as well. Johnson's going to pit here. And so will Gordon and Harvick. So everybody that stayed out will pit. That is the caution Johnson needed to get right back on strategy with the leaders. Our third yellow of the race. Up to 15 people watching right now. Thanks for everybody tuning in. Tomorrow night's stream will go back to the NASCAR Heat 5 final career mode season. Our round of 8 will start at Gateway. New track for the Cup Series. So at Gateway tomorrow night on the channel, 200 lap Cup race that will start at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So again, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow on the channel will be the next live stream. NASCAR Heat 5 career mode. So yeah, some drivers stayed out. They took the wave around after pitting under green before. That was the bad call with taking that pit stop. Now what are we looking like for fuel to the end of the race? Johnson restarts back in 10th. Gordon led the field into the pits. I think we had some lead lap cars stay out of the pit still, and that's why you see the top 7 stayed out that were on the lead lap. Kurt Busch leads to the restart. Green flag is back in the air, and this race got even more wonky than before. And they are 2 by 2. With all those lap cars that got trapped a lap down, or 2 laps down, now they are in a situation of desperation. Trying to get their lap back in case we get another quick yellow. Johnson with a massive run. He'll go to the high side into turns 1 and 2. And he's just going to cut down behind Kevin Harvick, it looks like, off the exit of turn 2. Harvick going to try to block the 48. Johnson was there for a brief moment. Now Harvick hangs on. Gordon, Harvick, Johnson trying to lead each other towards the front on these fresher tires. Gordon first of those 3, and he has had the fastest car all night long. Tony Stewart down to the lead for the first time today. He gets 5 bonus points leading that last lap. Gordon, Harvick, Johnson, they are definitely making up some ground as they made their way to the bottom of the racetrack. Took them about a lap, but these 3, I should say, are really booking it. Harvick going to try the outside now on Jeff Gordon. Into turn 1. Maybe got a little impatient. Harvick will get passed by Jimmy Johnson. Johnson out to the inside of Gordon. And Jimmy wants to lead these drivers on fresher tires. Passes Gordon for position. Oh, into the back of the 97. It looks like Harvick got his way around Gordon as well. Once Johnson made the move to the inside, Harvick followed him. Johnson undercut the corner a little too much there. Henrik DeCaldy's very interesting. I'd like to see him in the Xfinity Series. He at least runs consistent there. I don't think without that win, he's just really not cut out for the Cup Series. I think he should have had more than 1 year at RCR, but at the same time, at his current state in the Xfinity Series, I think he just needs to focus on getting some wins there if he ever wanted to go Cup racing again. And Colleague's a good team. I think he'll have a good run there. Just have to wait and see how it works out for him. They're good on super speedways. Maybe Hemmer can get his first win there. Ryan Newman has fought his way to the lead now. Kurt Busch gets blocked big time by Newman on the front stretch. Johnson trying to get a run on the 97. Oh, Busch just knocked the 48 of Johnson way down below the white line and down to the apron. Not clear with that block. Johnson held on to the race car. Thankfully, he held on. Johnson does have fresher tires than both Kurt Busch and Ryan Newman. Busch is definitely holding Johnson up quite a bit here. Heavy blocks all over the racetrack right now. Top, bottom, it doesn't matter. Busch is hanging on for dear life to second place. False blocking could allow Jeff Gordon to maybe close back in on Johnson. At some point, you wonder when these drivers that stayed out of the pits are going to have to pit themselves. Blocking equals bump and run. It's a good point there. Somebody else is on pit road. Might have had an engine failure somewhere. Kurt got a good run off turn 2 that time. He's going to try to get underneath Ryan Newman for the lead. Johnson wiggles a little bit as he tries the outside into 3 and 4. Johnson clipped the grass there. That just cut the momentum off. Also not a car lane getting into turn 1. Kurt blocking like it's for the win here. We still got about 160 laps to go. Oh, Newman with a block of his own on Kurt Busch. They're all blocking high. Holding on to it for now. This is getting dicey. Johnson wants to be patient, but he wants to get up here into the lead before Gordon catches him too. Gordon's still stuck back there in traffic. Of course, it would give Johnson more laps led as well. Johnson knows he's faster on these fresher tires. Kurt Busch is holding him up, and Newman may be holding Kurt Busch up. Off the exit of 4, Johnson finally underneath Kurt Busch. A little contact as he moves the 97 out of the way. For that bad block he pulled on him about a lap or so beforehand. And now trying to get a run on Newman. Newman going to try to block the 48 of Johnson. Johnson all the way down low. Not going to get the run into 3 he wanted. And he overdrove the corner in doing so. Newman going to go wide now. Kurt Busch maybe going to get back to the inside. I don't think he's there. No, he is not. Johnson with the dive. Kurt still there. Newman blocking just as heavily as Kurt Busch, although no contact between the 48 and the 12. Down the back straightaway, Johnson with the run. He is underneath Newman again. Gets a little loose into 3. Newman just beat Johnson to the inside. Johnson with a run. For the lead into turn 1, and finally Jimmy Johnson will get back out in front at Charlotte. Hey, well, people block, especially when you're faster. Well, that is the product of these NASCAR EA Sports video games, so that happens a lot, especially as you get later into the races. Seems like it doesn't matter what position you're battling for. It only gets worse towards the front of the field. You were trying to battle back on these older tires. Almost got to the inside. We got a car down on the inside of the track. Kyle Petty has blown an engine. The 45. Tough break for him. Newman wiggles a little bit on corner entry into turn 3. Kurt Busch might finally be able to get underneath him. Petty still trying to make his way down onto pit road. Whitfield has gotten around him cleanly as he stayed down to the apron of the racetrack. Look at Newman trying to get a charge off turn 2, and now Johnson's going to be the one throwing the blocks on the 12. Johnson maybe use his tires up. Trying to get around these guys. Newman wiggles again for the second straight lap into turn 3. Kurt Busch underneath him again. We'll see if Kurt can clear him this time. I'm sure we're going to see a lot more engine failures here now that we're in the second half of the race. Only 3 cautions up to this point in this long race as well, so a lot of green flag action. Only worse on these engines. Newman crosses back over, though, on the 97 of Busch. Johnson at least is getting more laps led in here, and he obviously does have a lot more grip in his car than, say, the 12 and the 97 as well. And probably why you see the 97 and the 12 crossing each other over as much as they are, because it just can't hold the bottom of the track as well as Johnson. On top of the fact that now Johnson has the clean air and the dirty air is put on the 12 and the 97 as well. Kurt Busch has not won yet this season. Ryan Newman has, I believe. Newman has won. Might have to check my statistics. You might keep track of the winners so far this season. Kurt almost got underneath Johnson. Johnson got a little bit better of a run off the exit of turn 2. Kurt going to go up the track now. Crazy how one car goes a little wide and the next car goes a little wide. Newman back to the inside. Kurt Busch again. Kurt going to block him, though, in the center of the quad oval. Up to 10 likes right now. So as we approach 150 laps to go, let me know down in the comment section, do you guys think this is going to be the longest race ever on the channel? I mean, we've been live for over 2 hours now. Will we hit our record? 3 hours, 46 minutes is the record on the NASCAR Heat 4 Coke 600 for our longest race on the channel. Could see a record broken here today. It'll be the second or third time. I'd say the third time. And we had the most likes during the course of a live stream the other night. Most views overall, the most concurrent viewers watching during our Talladega live stream on Monday. This has been a wild week on the channel. Joshua thinks it's going to be the longest race ever. We're going to break our record. The more cautions we get, the more it will lean that way. I mean, honestly, 3 cautions of the Coke 600 is not bad at all. I feel like with that pace, we might hit 3.5 hours, but I don't know if we're going to get closer to that 3:46 mark. We'll see. Looks like 2 drivers have blown an engine now since the flight. We know Kyle Petty is one of those 2. But you know, once again, we got Kurt Busch and Ryan Newman. 1, 2, 3. Coincidentally, I believe the only drivers who are still in the NASCAR Cup Series that were in this game that would have raced up to NASCAR Heat 5, which would have been 2020 in NASCAR, would be these 3 drivers. Jimmy Johnson, Kurt Busch, Ryan Newman. Coincidentally, they're 1, 2, 3 right now. Guess you could throw Matt Kenseth in there because he came back. He didn't run the full season, but he ran all but the first 4 races in place of Kyle Larson last year at Chip Ganassi Racing. I think Kenseth's in 4th, too. So, literally 1 through 4 are the 4 drivers that were still around now. in NASCAR. That's crazy. This is taking place in the 2004 season, of course. All three of these guys would have been around from 2002 and before. So, oh, Kevin Harvick too. My bad. I forgot about Harvick. Harvick was actually a rookie in 01, so he would actually be the longest tenure driver of the five, I guess, and he would be. Well, he was he was in second before the caution. Then the caution waved, and then he restarted ninth. I don't know where he's at now, but he's not in the top four. I guess Harvick is somewhere. That'd be crazy if he was fifth. Probably somewhere in the top 10 at least. Oh, bad exit to the corner from Johnson. He's going to lack a lot of speed here down the front stretches. Kurt Busch and Ryan Newman close in on him into turn one. Johnson tries to cut down and block Newman. And Busch, big slide up the track. He stays in front of the 12. 97 will get under him, though. Big run, though, off the exit of turn two on the pressured tires for Johnson. Kurt Busch battles on the inside, and they're side by side for the lead. At the Lowe's Motor Speedway, Johnson trying to side draft the 97 of Busch. Pulled him off the exit of 4. Jimmy leads the lap at the line. These guys are racing hard. A little mistake. Into turn one for Johnson. Yeah, Newman really crowding 48, and that little mistake broke that momentum getting into turn one that time for the 48 car. So not only Kurt Busch pulled clear, but Newman in second place pulls clear as well. Yeah, and Terry, if you don't feel comfortable buying the new game, I mean, I'll be getting it 2 days early. So, October 26th, just check out on the channel. Means you haven't pre-ordered it. I don't know when that deadline is to pre-order and get the game a couple days early, but I'll get it 2 days early. And you'll get to see how the actual physics are on my channel on October 26th. You'll have all the time in the world. You'll have your own time to be able to try and figure out whether you want to buy the game or not. So Kurt Busch leads again here at the Lowe's Motor Speedway. When will him and Newman pit? They stand out as long as they can here. Johnson side drafts Newman after Newman tried to pinch him on the front stretch. Johnson still got that advantage, though, into turn one. He'll get around the 12 car for second place. Joshua's going to be playing the same time. Should be trying to get that run. Busch with the block. Johnson with a big crossover off turn four. You know how much better on the fresher tires Johnson got off turn four compared to Kurt Busch. Johnson leads by about half a car length at the start-finish line. He'll clear well before they get into turn one. And Newman now to the inside of Kurt Busch for second place. Once again, 140 laps to go this time by in the Coca-Cola 600. Yeah, that would be a pretty good Christmas present. It is pretty, I mean, all things considered. It's only 2 months exactly. So Christmas, Black Friday, another month after release of NASCAR 21 Ignition. The crossover on Kurt Busch again. Kurt hanging on to the outside for the moment on the 12 of Newman. Matt Kenseth's starting to pull closer to his teammate Kurt Busch. Newman clears, trying to block the 97. Man, that caution really hurt Jeff Gordon because he had the fastest car in the field, and I think him being in traffic now has really costed him. Gordon had the dominating car early on, not so much anymore. They're playing the Johnson's hand, though, and trying to get the most laps led on the 24. I have no clue who has it right now. Halfway on field for Johnson. Still don't know about Kurt Busch and Ryan Newman. There were a lot of drivers that beat Johnson off pit road. I wonder if maybe they took right sides only. And if they'll pit that. Well, then again, too. Well, no. I don't know. It would only be 7 cars that would have stayed out on the lead lap at the most. Newman closing on that left rear of Johnson. And pretty close. He's putting the pressure back on the 48 again. The two 2002 rookies battling for the lead in the Coke 600. Johnson started at the rear of the field. Took him over 40 laps to get to the lead. The only reason he got there is because he didn't pit for fuel and tires during the second caution of the race. Before that, he was barely inside the top 10 up to that point. Right around 6th or 7th. Busch back underneath Ryan Newman. Johnson ran about half a lane off the bottom and then got the car to cut and center the corner to keep the 97 from even trying to squeeze underneath him. Really good corner entry for Johnson into 3 and 4. And Kurt gets a little tight. It looks like Jeff Gordon back there in 5th place is starting to close in. This guy's battling back and forth quite a bit. Gordon trying to get back into contention here. Still got over 100 to go. He's got time. I really hope there's a custom schedule feature. I still don't know if there is or not. If so, a lot of the newer tracks of the game will be towards the beginning of the schedule. So you guys will get a good look at those newer tracks. Of course, the Daytona 500 is going to be the first race. I should say the first night, if there are dual races or the Busch Clash is available, we will run, the Busch Clash at the Daytona Road Course and the dual races before we run the 500, of course. But if there are no preseason races, which we kind of stink considering it has been a long time since we've seen exhibition races on a NASCAR video game. Hopefully we can get them in the next installment of NASCAR 21 Ignition. Johnson got really sideways through 1 and 2. He power slid on the first half of that last corner. Desperately just trying to hold on to the lead. He's probably burned his tires up more during the run down than what he has up to this point so far today. Look at Kevin Harvick in the mix now as well, as he is past Jeff Gordon. He's underneath Kenseth. They'll get around him through 1 and 2 as well. So now you got the top 6 cars under a blanket instead of just the top 3 like it was. Harvick underneath Kurt Busch, and he's moving through the field. Harvick and Gordon finally on their fresher tires have started to close that gap. Right front yellow on Johnson. With that caution coming out, again, what are the fuel scenarios? Likely thinking is a 2-stop race to the finish still. Have to wait and see. Should be from now. considering that we could go about 68 laps on fuel. We already figured that out earlier. Well, we got a caution less than 50 laps later, so in the end, I guess it didn't cost us too much. Probably would have restarted 10th on that last restart pitting when we did anyway, so in all reality, it really didn't cost us anything. In hindsight. Definitely can't make that mistake again, though, now that we're in the second half of the race. Looked it up, there's not going to be any custom schedule. Well, that stinks. At least the Daytona Road Course will be towards the beginning of the season, though. Whether it's the Busch Clash or the regular season race that we're running for. Johnson got into the wall off turn 4, and that allows Kevin Harvick to clear for the race lead. Contact with Gordon now. Into turn 1, who has fought his way back to second. Kenseth may get underneath the 48 of Johnson. Johnson tagged that left rear of Gordon, got him a little bit loose. Kenseth gets back by Gordon as well. Oh, we'll still do 2 seasons. That's a shame. I waited so long for custom schedules to become a thing. And we got it for 1 year and now it gets taken away again. That stinks. At least we can still deal with these older games. Kenseth up to second place. 2003 champ would have been the defending champ coming into this season. And I believe Kenseth just pulled the pit road that time. So Kenseth pulls into the pits. He's going to try to short pit. Johnson, Harvick, and Gordon on the racetrack still. The window is definitely open to make it to the end. Harvick underneath Johnson off turn 4. Johnson brushes the wall again. Another mistake there. Harvick back to the lead. Big block for Johnson on Gordon. With a tank of fuel left. I mean, even the dual races, though, too, at the bare minimum, have the dual races at Daytona on the game because they actually award points for the top 10. The top 10 finishers in that race get points, just like how the stage points work, where you get 10 points for first. No playoff points, but 10 points for first all the way down to 1 point for 10. So you might as well have at least the dual races on there because those are points races now to a certain extent. Back to the lead on Kevin Harvick once again. How much longer will he be able to hold on? All these drivers short pitting, they're probably going to get a decent advantage on these leaders, you'd have to expect. Gordon back to the inside of Harvick. Yeah, hopefully there's caution replays too. Definitely helped the elements of the commentary side of things for this game, that's for sure. These older EA games in general. Harvick crosses back underneath Gordon. They hold side by side off the exit of turn 4. Johnson leads another lap at the line. Ends up being the first of the leaders to hit pit road like he did earlier. Harvick with a big time block on Gordon getting into turn 1, but he's going to slide all the way wide. Almost gets into the wall, and Gordon will cross him back over down the back straightaway to the inside of the track himself now into turn 3. He'll have the advantage. And Jimmy Johnson will pit this time. So Johnson will short pit, locks the tires up a little bit, side by side for the lead now between Harvick and Gordon off of turn 4. 4 tires and fuel for the 48 of Johnson, no adjustments. He saw those other leaders already pit like Kenseth. He doesn't want them to get too far out in front of him. Yeah, all-star race as well. Unfortunately, be at Texas, but hey, at least we get it. And we just ran the all-star race last night on the channel with this game. Be cool if we had it for a current installment of a NASCAR game as well. So Johnson going to work his way not quite back up onto the racetrack. There's Kenseth. A short pitting. Kind of expected he was going to be able to cycle back ahead of the 48. There goes the 20 of Tony Stewart as well, the 12 of Newman. All these guys pitted before. You wonder when Gordon and Johnson will pit as well. Now, they probably took it to the end of the run. I don't think they intentionally short pitted. That was probably as far as they could go on fuel. Just remember, they had short pitted before that and then took the wave around. There aren't too many more cars on the lead lap still. Harvick leads the race. I'm sure Gordon's still out there in second place right behind him. If Gordon didn't already pit. Maybe Gordon saw Jimmy pit and he saw those other drivers pit and figured he had to pit the lap after him. I guess it's possible. Even trying to block. He's doing a lot of that earlier. It only gets more and more justified as you get closer to the end of the race. Johnson drives underneath Newman in the center of turns 1 and 2, clears him. Johnson with a few lap pressure tires, and on this old surface at the Lowe's Motor Speedway, again last year before the repave in 2005, that this track does wear down the tires quite a bit. Stewart underneath Dusty Gibson. The 178 car, that's a name right there. Dusty Gibson. It sounds like one of those like old baseball players, like an old a manager for a baseball team. Dusty Gibson. Johnson to the inside of Stewart. Pass made for position. Johnson back inside the top 5 again. Johnson went past a quarter tank of fuel when he did pit. Oh, it can't be too much longer. 29 and the 24. At least the 29. For Busch, he pulled off some aggressive blocks earlier as well. Johnson just got underneath him. Side drafted his way into 3. And yeah, Gordon is already pit. And he came out even ahead of the 17 of Matt Kenseth. Had to do something to get the track position. Kenseth squeezes Johnson into 1. Johnson barely kept it off of him, and he'll clear him off the exit of turn 2. And he's got his eye set on his teammate Gordon. Kevin Harvick is on pit road right now. We'll see where Harvick will cycle out of the pits, but I don't think it's going to be up here with the top 4 or 5. Have to assume. I guess he's making his way off pit road right now as Johnson's in line behind Jeff Gordon at the start-finish line. Harvick down on the inside of the racetrack. He's not going to be able to get up to speed in time. I guess he'll cycle up with these guys, but he won't be able to hold on to the lead. Johnson with a run down the back straightaway underneath his teammate Gordon. And the two Hendrick Chevys run 1-2 at Charlotte with Johnson to the lead. Off of turn 4 once again. Gordon very close to the wall off the exit of turn 4. 109 laps to go and one more pit stop at least to the end of the race from here on out. Oh, man. That was a big risky moment. Johnson will lose off turn 4. Kenseth to the lead. That was a big-time moment for Jimmy. Look at how much momentum he lost. Kenseth gets to the lead somehow. Gordon though to second. Harvick to third. Johnson back to fourth. Texas won't have both 500-mile races because it's the 2021 season. So even if they don't have the All-Star race, they would just have the one 500-mile race in the playoffs. They just wouldn't have the All-Star race. Gordon trying to make his way around Kenseth. That was a big block by Kenseth that held up Gordon enough for Johnson to get underneath him. Oh, contact though between the Hendrick Chevy. He's got to be careful there. They took care of each other for the most part last night. Kenseth goes a little bit wider than Johnson through 3 and 4. Johnson got the car to cut the center of the corner, and Jimmy will lead at the line. Another lead change. Kenseth loses the lead. Gordon now for second place into turn 1. So I guess the racing we saw last night in the All-Star race really translated to the Coke 600 just over a longer period of time, and then it got spaced out. That very long green flag run that was about 200 laps long, a little less than 200 laps. Yeah, Dover only has one date. Nashville, Coda, Dirt Bristol, Daytona Road Course. I guess we'll only get the Daytona Road Course for 1 year because it's not going to be on the schedule 2022 for the following NASCAR games. So enjoy it while it lasts. We'll get it for 1 season. Road America for the Cup Series, which we already had in the previous couple NASCAR games with the Xfinity Series. Indy Road Course, which again they added at least with a patch, but it was not perfect by any means. We know that. A couple races we ran there on NASCAR Heat 5. Hopefully they got all those penalty glitches fixed. And they had over a year to do it, so I would assume that they should be. There should be no glitches with the game. Honestly, like they had well over a year. What, like 14? No, more than that. 15, 16 months between releases. Like they shouldn't have any like major glitches at least. No crashing of the game. But if they do, that's just terrible. Yeah, it's unfortunate we're not going to be able to run the Indy Oval for the next couple of years at least on future NASCAR games. Dover's your favorite track. Definitely a driver's type of racetrack. It's a beautiful facility too. Nice area of the country. Maybe not necessarily in Dover, Delaware, but Dover's kind of like an older, like really Delaware just gives like an old state feel. It's weird because like most states, like you when you're driving in the open, there's like fields of some sort. You know, something growing in the fields, crop wise. But in Delaware, it's like there's no field; it's just grass. It's just really weird. It's just kind of a flat terrain. But it's not flat like in the Midwest, like in Iowa and Nebraska. So I mean, I haven't been to those states, but where it's just kind of flat and boring, and there's nothing but corn. But there isn't even corn; it's just flat and grass. But where I stayed in Maryland, that was pretty nice. Moving to the inside. Gordon trying to get back to the lead for the first time in a while. At the start-finish line, Gordon leads that lap with just 98 to go at Charlotte, the Coke 600. Good run, though, off the exit of turn 2 for the 40. Into Johnson, contact with Gordon. Into 3. Johnson pulled down way too early on a block attempt. And Gordon is clear. Johnson just missed time to block. He had a great run. He just pulled down a bit too early. Yeah, hopefully the curb at the Indy Road Course does not come apart. Johnson's going to force 3 wide. Gordon got held up by the lap car on the 153, and that gives Johnson the lead into 3 right back again. They both cleared the lap car, but that definitely held Gordon up enough. Harvick in 3rd still. 96 laps to go in the Coca-Cola 600. We'll have to see if drivers will. I'm surprised the top 4 or 5 did not get spaced apart during those green flag pit stops. We'll see if that'll be the case this time around. Gordon led for 1 lap, maybe 2, and that was it. Johnson right back to the lead again. Ends in 4th. Stewart way back there. Harvick to the inside. Gordon, it has been a Chevy-dominated season to this point. Junior with 2 wins. Johnson with 2 wins. Gordon's got 2 wins. Harvick's got at least 1 win. He may have 2. Parts of Virginia. Yeah, the only part of Virginia I've driven through was on 77. Like, basically to go through Virginia, to get to Charlotte, to get to Darlington, Bristol, before I cut across and started heading back west again. So, that's more in the mountainy area of the state. I haven't been, on the east coast of Virginia. I mean, I'll be back in Virginia in a few more weeks when I go to Martinsville. I would imagine there's still probably mountainy area where Martinsville's at. I don't know for sure because I haven't been there. It'll be my first trip to Martinsville, but I'm excited to try their hot dogs, though. I am pumped for track food when I get to Martinsville. I'm only going to be there for the cup race, but and you can bet I'll probably have 3 or 4 hot dogs throughout the cup. Not throughout the race itself, but probably 2 before. Grab 2 more, so that way if I get hungry during the race, already got some food with me. I'll be ready to go. I'll have my lunchbox with me. I know they're letting in coolers, so. Can stash them away. Let me know if any of you guys down in the chat have been to Martinsville and just exactly how good those hot dogs are. I've heard great things about them from people that have gone. It's a little different though with Tennessee because it's like it's not flat. It's not flat with grass. It is mountainy. There's a lot of hills. Like Delaware, it's flat and there's only grass. There's no crops growing. Like I can see with giant hills that you can't, I just can't see like this giant like tractor and combine on the side of a mountain trying to crop dust in the fall or without rolling over. Harvick almost cleared Johnson off turn 4. Jimmy gets the run. But Harvick leads that lap at the line. They are side by side. Close quarters racing for the lead with less than 90 to go in the Coca-Cola 600. Johnson trying to pinch Harvick down. They got a couple lap cars coming up. Look at Johnson get a great run, though, off turn 2. He's trying to beat Harvick to the inside. He does! Oh, but Harvick gets sideways into 3. He had him cleared, and then he just couldn't hold the corner enough, and Harvick will clear right back off 4. Big crossover on the 29 off the exit of 4, trying to trap Harvick behind the lap cars. Johnson actually led that lap of the line, but now the 137 will block the 48, and the lap traffic side by side in front of the leaders who were side by side. Traffic definitely a factor right now. Here comes Kenseth. He almost took it 3 wide up the middle for the lead. That probably wouldn't have worked. Just decided to follow the 48. Well, Tony Stewart up to 4th place. Clearing the lap traffic. Staying in front of Kenseth on the bottom of the track into turn 1. Trying to at least. Kenseth may get underneath him. Oh, what a dive by Matt Kenseth. The defending champion, Matt Kenseth, is in the lead in the Coca-Cola 600. Johnson brushes the wall off 4. Kenseth's going to go a little bit wide in turns 1 and 2, and that might give the run that Harvick needs to try and get to the lead. Nope, not quite. Johnson side drafts the 29 car just enough. Harvick just doesn't seem like he's got the straightaway speed. Now Kenseth stuck behind Wimmer in the 22. Johnson a big run off 4. The high side, he clears Harvick for 2nd. Kenseth trying to get underneath the 22 car. Johnson is there, but he pushes into the wall. Big run off 4 to get back by the 29 car. Kenseth under the 22 of Wimmer. And Johnson squeezing still underneath Kenseth, who got held up maybe just enough. Contact though between the 17 and the 48. Oh, and they're still getting together. Stewart to the inside, 3 wide for the lead. It's contact all over the place. Kenseth still holds on. Harvick got stuck behind Wimmer. Kenseth holds on to the lead somehow, some way. And it's Kenseth leading the Coke 600. Johnson in the wall again. He's getting too tight. He's overdriving the corners. He's on the high side. Of course, Kenseth blocking out any sort of clean air Johnson could have. That upper groove as well. Another hit into the wall. Johnson's got to be careful. Especially with cars underneath him like Stewart was again there. Johnson again underneath the 17 of Kenseth. Into one, trying to get to the lead. Kenseth pinches him off. The 48 of Johnson kind of bottomed out that time. Four lap cars right in front of the 17. He's got rookie Scott Riggs and then the 192 car who brought out that first accident back on lap 4 in the way. Johnson trying to back the corner up. He's trying to pick the 17 behind the lappers, and that is exactly what Johnson will do. Hasn't cleared Kenseth yet. Trying to trap him behind the lap traffic. Riggs and the 192 staying high, so Kenseth gets picked. Johnson to the lead. And how about Tony Stewart up to second place? He led only a few laps in this race very, very early on in the day, in the first 100 laps of the going. We've seen about as much lap traffic around the leaders bunched together now than what we've seen this entire race up to this point. Kenseth underneath Stewart off turn 4, trying to get back to second. Side-by-side lap traffic, not too much further ahead of the leaders. Johnson gets there. He's going to have to make sure he does not get picked behind those guys on the outside. Boy, Jimmy really close to the wall. Drifted a little too high. He didn't even get to the lap traffic yet. Now he will get stuck on the high side behind the lap traffic, it looks like. Especially with Kenseth down low now. Johnson's all over the place into one. He barely kept it off the 17. Squeezes in line between Kenseth and Stewart. Still side by side in front of the 17 of Kenseth. Big dive into turn 3 by the 48. A little bit of a loose moment there as well. Look at Kenseth trying to block. Ooh, contact now with Ward Burton. Kenseth pulls away a little bit. Stewart got a massive run. Johnson not going to allow the 20 to clear. Tony Stewart closes on Matt Kenseth as he tries to get back to the lead. Off turn 4. Johnson's got a nice little run going for him. Johnson clears the 20 down to the bottom. Can't quite get underneath the 17 of Kenseth. All these cars at the front of the field are absolutely digging right now. Look at Kenseth swaying back and forth. We haven't alternated through the different camera angles yet today. We got to do that twice yet, so we'll do the first one right now. Johnson all over the back bumper of Kenseth. Derek Cope and Robbie Gordon side by side in front of the leaders. Oh, Kenseth gets into Robbie Gordon. Contact between the 17 and the 31. Johnson just could not quite capitalize and get underneath the 17 car. Not enough turn in the car at this point to run. Not any more than what the 17's got, at least. That was a big time attempt to block. Johnson gets a little sideways down the back straightaway. He holds on to it, and Kenseth stays in the lead. Red hot hot dogs. So what, they're spicy? Is that like the special? I know they got like, I mean, it's basically like Coney dogs, but chili dogs. Chili that spicy? Kenseth lifted off turn 4. He definitely lifted off turn 4 that time. Johnson almost got into the back of him. Remember the last time these two were battling for the lead at the California Speedway late in the race, Kenseth blew an engine with 4 laps to go. Roush blew a lot of engines in the early to mid 2000s. Johnson trying to get the run into 3 and 4 to the high side. Look at Kenseth pull up to try and block. Johnson crosses him over to the inside. Still 2x2 to the start-finish line. I believe Kenseth led that lap. Johnson will have the advantage, though, on the inside. Goes to John West Townley. Welcome to the stream. Furfur Express, welcome to the stream as well. Oh, Johnson in the wall. Turn 4, and that time Kenseth had the lift, so he couldn't quite capitalize off the exit of the corner. Jimmy holds on to the lead again. Tires are wearing out as we get closer to the final pit stops of the race. I think Tony Stewart's underneath Jimmy Johnson. Yes, he is. Well, Johnson didn't pull down to the inside. Spotter never called the 20 car there. Wanted to pull down, but he was afraid that Stewart was still there. Now he pulls down the center of the corner. And across over the 17, and he gets into Kenseth. Oh, Kenseth got way out of shape. Contact between Stewart and Johnson now. Both cars connected into the outside wall. Kenseth races by. He gets back to the lead, and here comes Gordon back in contention. That was a little wild. Jeff Green is a 1997 Cup rookie. I did not know that. That long ago? I figured he was a rookie this season only because he wasn't in last year's NASCAR, like in the NASCAR Thunder 04 game. Oh, you know what? No, he was in the 30 car, wasn't he? Or, no, he would have been in the 1. My bad. Yeah, my bad on that. Jeff Green isn't a rookie. I don't know why I thought that. Matt Kenseth will pit this time. 66 laps to go. That's within the window. Johnson made it 68 laps at one point earlier on in the day. I don't know if Gordon's got the fastest car in the field like he did earlier in the race. Red hot dogs aren't spicy. Oh, gotcha. Hot, I was thinking you meant spicy. Turn your water red when... Jeez. Okay, so I'll wait a couple minutes for him to cool off and I get served my Martinsville dogs. Johnson to the inside of Jeff Gordon, and he clears high off turn 4. Gordon cycled to the lead after the first set of stops, only for a few laps. We're going to cross Johnson back over into turn 1. These guys battle on all their tires. It's going to allow the rest of those drivers to cycle back out in front. Johnson hangs on the high side, but Jimmy wants to try to get as many laps led as he can. Give him pressure tires off the back half of the run to at least catch back up. Trying to hang on in the top groove, but it looks like Gordon's going to clear off turn 2. Johnson trying to cross him back over as he had a major run off the exit of the corner. Enters in really deep. Couldn't get underneath him. Gordon slides up the track as well, though. As he desperately tries to block Jimmy Johnson. 60 laps to go in the Coca-Cola 600. Crazy battle for the lead between the Hendrick Chevys. Joe Nemechek coming out of the pits. I think he'll get up to speed before the 24 and the 48 catch him. Oh, Gordon's in the wall off 4. Jeff Gordon got into the wall off turn 4 that time. That gives Johnson the clearance he needed. These lap cars in front of the leaders do have fresher tires. They will not be easy to pass whatsoever. A little difficult to pass later in the race as it is. Gordon back to the inside of Johnson again off turn 4. The start-finish line, Gordon leads the lap. This 24 car has come to life all of a sudden. The 48 also starts to kind of slow up a little bit. Oh, Nemechek and Murphy moved up. Johnson into the left rear of Murphy. He gives Gordon the lead. That really took all the speed away off the corner exit that time for Johnson. Gordon struggling to get around the 0-1 and the 199 as well, though. Gordon pits this time, off turn 4. Johnson back to the lead again. Kevin Harvick on pressure tires right behind the 48 of Johnson. This late in the race, he's not going to let him go like he did earlier. Drivers that have already pitted have made their final stop of the day. Johnson slides too much, though, into the corner, and Harvick gets underneath him. Nemechek brushes the wall off turn 4 on the high side behind the 29 and the 48. Gordon coming out of the pits. Harvick using Murphy as a pick. Johnson in the back of Murphy. Now Johnson gets in front of Murphy. Clears him off turn 4. Johnson trying to get underneath Harvick. He's going to battle him as much as he can. Not quite going to get there. May be able to pick the 29 behind the 99. And that could be where he could get the run. And he's underneath him. And they're 3 wide now into turns 1 and 2. This could get tight. Harvick barely clears Jeff Burton. And he's still on the outside of the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. Great corner exit by Harvick. Holding on, but Johnson is going to clear Harvick now off turn 4. Jeff Burton undercuts the 29 for the moment. Johnson's just trying to lead as many laps as he can. He's likely not going to be the leader when he comes off of the pit lane. He's going to hope that he's not too far off the lead, that he can run these guys down. This old surface, he's obviously losing a lot of ground, but it's not going to take that many lap pressure tires to try and gain the ground back. It's really what we're looking at. Also, what we're looking at, will this be the longest race in the channel's history? Right now, we're pacing as if it won't be the case. We've had 3 cautions per incident. There's been over 100 laps since the last one. Our longest green flag run of the race was about 180 laps earlier on. We had 2 cautions in the first 50, and then a caution right around lap 230. They're the only yellows in this race. 50 laps to go at the line. Some of our last drivers hitting pit road, it looks like still, or at least one car entered into the pit lane. Johnson definitely doesn't want to stay out too long this time around like he did earlier. Harvick still battling with Jeff Burton in the 99 car. Harvick definitely getting held up. I don't think he's going to be the one to cycle back to the lead, that's for certain. Could be wrong, but I'm thinking it's very likely. Kenseth was the first of the leaders to hit the pits. I would not be surprised if he was the one on the pit road. Johnson wanted to pit that time, but Harvick was all over that left rear quarter panel and kept the 48 car from pitting. So now Johnson runs an extra lap, and he's just hoping he can make it on fuel to make it back to pit road and not lose time like he did earlier. Johnson really wanted to pit that time. As he makes his way off turn 2, he's out of gas. Same spot he ran out of gas earlier in the race, but now it's with just 48 laps to go as he enters down to the apron. Johnson wanted to pit that last time, but Harvick getting underneath him on corner entry disallowed him from hitting the pits. Harvick on pit road as well now. And look at all the time he gains on the 48. So Harvick was actually battling Johnson for the lead. He was not a lap down. Gemini, man, welcome to the stream. That's a real deflation right there for the 48 crew. He wanted to come into the pits, and that might have been the strategy for Harvick. Get underneath him, keep him from coming in. Harvick pits the next lap perfectly fine. He's already out of his pit box. Johnson's still getting the left side tires onto his race car. It's not a bad stop, 16.3 seconds, but man, that really hurts this 48 team. That is a lot of time lost by the time he's going to get up to speed. Back to 7th. About 7 seconds behind Jeff Gordon. Now Gordon can lead more laps himself. That is not good. He probably would have actually came out pretty close to Gordon, all things considered. 7.6 seconds back, but now he's got about 10 lap or so pressure tires. So for a 10 to 20 lap stretch, he'll cut into that gap, and then he's going to be relying on lap traffic from there if he doesn't get all the way to Gordon. He's going to have to dig for these final 46 laps. That is a really interesting question. I don't really know of Adam Petty's career statistics. I know he was definitely a really good talent, especially as young as he was. I'm sure he definitely could have won races in the Cup Series. Champion, I mean, we'll never know. I mean, you look at the greats in that era that were winning championships or, were competing for championships around Petty's death and just beyond that. Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson won 7 championships. Tony Stewart won 3 championships. Kenseth got one there early. Kurt Busch was really good. Kyle Busch obviously came along later. Arguably is the toughest era in NASCAR as far as the caliber of drivers competing for the championships and winning them. It would have been tough. I'm sure he definitely would have been a force to be reckoned with on a weekly basis. Johnson trying to get around rookie Casey Kane. That was for position. Kane's had a really good season so far. Looking at another top 10, even though he drops back to 7th there. 48 has been faster than him all night long. So he tries to run down Jeff Gordon late. I wonder where Harvick cycled out of the pits. I know he cycled ahead of the 48, obviously, but where exactly ahead of him? We'll eliminate through the different camera angles. One final time in today's race. Who knows? Maybe we'll get another caution before the end of it. Five top 10s in from trucks and Xfinity. Where he died at 19. Yeah, that's a really young age to have that. How many starts did he have to get those top 10s combined? I'm surprised Kenseth didn't cycle out further than 5th, considering he was the first driver to hit the pits. I mean, Gordon ideally pitted about 5 or 6 laps before Johnson. He still came out with the lead, but he came out with the lead last time we were in a similar circumstance under the previous green flag pit stops. I think that 24 team in general has just been on it tonight with their pit stops. If they've been that fast that they could afford to stay out later and still come away with the lead, and that just helps them even more for that next run. Kurt Busch, Ryan Newman battling up there. We know how aggressive they have been. Kenseth's going to let Johnson go. Not going to really battle him, but I'm sure that Kurt Busch and Ryan Newman are highly going to battle Jimmy Johnson. Actually, Johnson never gained a spot. Kenseth's a lap down right now. He is not on the lead lap. That stinks for Kenseth. Johnson underneath Kurt Busch down the back straightaway. Busch trying to pinch him into turn 3. Johnson made a relatively quick pass on him, though. Now trying to do the same with the 12 of Ryan Newman right in front of him. 38 laps to go at the start-finish line. With a big cut to the high side. Johnson trying to get the run down low. And he's underneath Newman. He side drafted him just enough before sending it into turn 3. Johnson to 4th, clearing Newman off turn 4. Next driver ahead for position, I believe, is Tony Stewart. Johnson only 2.5 seconds behind race leader Jeff Gordon. I believe Gordon's got Kevin Harvick right behind him already battling him, and that's probably holding Gordon up a little bit as well. Big run to the inside. Stewart going to try to block. Not cutting Johnson any slack. Johnson trying to top. Off the exit of the corner, but he gets into the wall. Johnson in the wall off 4, and he loses ground to Stewart. Wear those tires out a little bit more. There's no safer barrier in the walls in this game either, much like NASCAR Thunder 2004, so it just makes those hits even harder. Johnson with the wider arc into 1. He saw Stewart wheel hop a little bit. Those rear tires slid in the center of the corner, and that allowed Jimmy to hook the white line. Can he clear, though, into turn 3? Johnson on the inside. Flips the white line, drifts up the track, but he has cleared Stewart. Harvick and Jeff Gordon continue to battle for the lead. Go back to the normal camera for the rest of the race now. Oh, another mistake there for Johnson. Not ideal. For a 600-mile race, the narrowest mile and a half on the schedule of this game, it's not easy to hang on to these race cars. Johnson's done a pretty decent job, all things considered. Just needs to bring it home. Worst case scenario, Jeff Gordon, though, trying to get another win. It could be another 1-2 finish for Hendrick Motorsports. They've had 2 this season. Talladega, Gordon got the win. Johnson finished second. And then Johnson got the win at Texas, where Gordon finished second. Could be their third if they could get around that 29 of Harvick. We got 4 Chevys in the top 4, because remember, Stewart was a Chevy, and Joe Gibbs Racing at this time as well. That has been the dominance by the Chevrolets this year. Very little competition with the rest of the manufacturers. Harvick has just not been able to get around Jeff Gordon. A couple lap cars between where first and second is and where the 48 of Johnson's at. Harvick pitted a little bit later than Gordon, though, too. Johnson underneath Mike Murphy in the 199, and Murphy not giving him a whole lot of room here. Oh, big block by Murphy. Luckily, he was clear. Oh, and he just put Johnson in the wall. Our 4th caution of the race. And that right front fender is in the red on Johnson's race car. He's going to have to pit to repair the damage. Mike Murphy, a lap car, has just blocked Jimmy Johnson, the 3rd place car, into the wall. And now Johnson will have to pit to repair damage with less than 30 laps to go in the Coca-Cola 600. Unbelievable. He threw a big block down the back straightaway. At least he was clear. And then on the high side off 4, he just kept moving up, and Johnson was there. Looks like Jeff Burton's coming down to get some tires as well. I'm not sure. I think he's a lap down.
We're deep in the field. Be careful and start working your way up.
Hate to be racing all night long, but that's why all of these miles make this a long race. Only 10 cars on the lead lap, so Johnson back in the 10th position. Lost 7 spots, though, and he's got all the lap cars on the inside as well, as the green flag is back in the air in the Coca-Cola 600. Following our 4th caution of the race. And there's Mike Murphy again. In that 199 car. Johnson going to take it 3 wide. A little contact with Murphy. Moving him up the racetrack, saying, hey, I didn't appreciate that earlier. That's not the caution Jeff Gordon and Kevin Harvick wanted either, getting the field bunched back together again. Johnson and Harvick still relatively have newer tires than most of the cars on the racetrack, excluding Jeff Burton back there, but Burton is a lap down. 24 laps to go. 3 wide to the inside into 1. Johnson underneath of Bobby Labonte, who does clear. The dodge of Brendan Gaughan. Johnson clears Labonte for 8th. Jeff Gordon lost a lot of time on this restart. He's back to 7th as he cuts his teammate off. Gordon had the fastest car and had the lead there for a brief moment. That was it. 3 wide on the front stretch. Gordon stuck behind Jamie McMurray now and has to work back to the bottom again. Into turns 1 and 2. Johnson trying to get underneath Ryan Newman. Newman going to hold him off. He's going to try the high side into 3 and 4. At least he didn't get blocked like Mike Murphy. Newman's been pretty bold with his blocks so far, but Johnson pulls around him on the high side. Those slight bit fresher tires definitely pulled the advantage there. It's Tony Stewart who actually leads right now. It looks like somebody else has blown an engine down onto pit road since this last restart. Sadler trying to pull a block on Johnson and hang on. Underneath Junior for position as well. Jimmy gonna follow the 38 and the 20, 97 rather. Sadler goes wide, clear in the 8. Johnson gets underneath Elliott Sadler as well. Johnson still keeps the nose underneath the 38, and he clears him for 4th place off turn 2. Well, we're just about at that point like we were last night in the All-Star race. A 20-lap shootout to the finish. After a late race caution. Johnson not out of it yet. It took him a little bit of time to get up here, but 20 to go, he's in position. That's all you can really ask for at the end of the race, regardless of the circumstances that brought him to the spot. So clears Kurt Busch through 1 and 2. Harvick lost a little bit of ground to Tony Stewart that last time. Johnson a little squirrely down the back straightaway as he gets to the outside of Harvick. Stewart on the high side. What a run for Elliott Sadler. He won the Daytona 500. He's in 4th in the Coke 600. We're the Crown Jewel Hunter on NASCAR Heat 5. Is Elliott Sadler the Crown Jewel Hunter on NASCAR Chase for the Cup 2005? Johnson trying to get the run to the high side as Harvick tries to block. The 1 and 2. '29. Down low, Johnson side drafts him. Down the back straightaway, Jimmy with the run up high into 3 and 4. Stewart up high above him. Stewart holds on to the lead off turn 4. Both the 20 and the 48 got a big run there. Johnson has cleared Harvick for 2nd, and he may be trying to go after the lead into 3 as he cuts underneath Stewart. Jimmy Johnson back to the lead in the Coca-Cola 600. Harvick underneath Stewart as well. Johnson and Harvick have the fresher tires of anybody in the field. Stewart was holding those guys up as long as he could. Gotta figure though Harvick may have fresher tires than even Johnson, considering Johnson was involved in that last accident after Mike Murphy blocked him into the wall. We're gonna get another caution further back in the pack. One attempt at a green-white checker at bare minimum, and look at Elliott Sadler. He goes to the inside of Harvick. Sadler trying to win his 2nd race of the season. He's up to 2nd place all of a sudden. How did he get underneath Harvick into 3? And can he get underneath Johnson? What a run by Elliott Sadler! Johnson tries to pinch him into 1 and 2, and Elliott Sadler. The unthinkable could happen in the Coca-Cola 600. Sadler for Robert Yates Racing. And a Ford. We mentioned Chevys have been dominant this year. He's trying to spoil the Chevrolet party. Johnson leads the lap at the line with 14 to go, but it's Sadler trying to contend. I don't even know if he's led at all yet today. Almost did that time, but not quite. Johnson just able to side draft enough to stay alongside the 38 and not allow Sadler to clear. Can he do it again, though, into 3 and 4? It's going to be tough. Johnson's still there. This is very, very close racing with drivers on a little bit worn out tires. A lot of it considering this track and the surface at this time period in NASCAR. Johnson side drafts in 38 heavily, no contact. Harvick back to 4th as Stewart's in 3rd. Both these two are digging right now. Elliott Sadler wins this race. He's going to win the first 2 Crown Jewel events of the season. He just cannot clear the 48. Johnson almost got in the wall that time, but not quite. 12 to go. Sadler did lead that lap at the line, though. That's all he needs to do. Oh, boy, man, these guys are running really close to one another. It is getting close. Johnson looking for all the pull he can get. Trying to squeeze that 38 car down enough, but he couldn't do it. Into 3. Sadler drives it in deep. I think he's going to clear this time. Sadler clear high. And he does. On turn 4. Elliott Sadler, the new leader, with 11 to go in the Coke 600. Still got Johnson and Stewart right behind him. Jimmy trying to cross him over. A little contact in the back of the 38. Where did the life come from out of this M&M's Ford? Ten laps left for Elliott Sadler. Johnson fought on the high side for 4 or 5 laps. But he kind of had to assume he wasn't going to hold on all the way to the end. We may get to the high side again off 2. Sadler with the block. He was not fully clear. Got to be careful. On a similar incident with Mike Murphy. Sadler got a little loose off turn 4, but Johnson couldn't get the car to rotate to the bottom of the track to get underneath him. 9 laps to go. Johnson trying to look low. He got the run off 2. Now he's underneath Sadler. Side by side. Johnson still has the advantage into 3. On the bottom, he clears Elliott Sadler. Off turn 4, Sadler's in the wall. Sadler pushed too hard in 3 and 4. He got in the wall, so Johnson leads with 8 to go. And somehow Sadler held on to 2nd. I thought when he hit the wall, Stewart was going to get right back underneath him. And how did that 38 car, after getting in the wall off 4, power down to the inside into 1 and 2? Johnson trying to squeeze him. Into 3, though. Sadler with the deep dive, and he is going to clear again. Likely. Johnson in the wall now off 4, and he definitely hit it a lot harder than Sadler did. Stewart to 2nd. Does Tony Stewart have a chance? Johnson and Sadler each getting into the wall once here late. Elliott Sadler, I don't even know if you can call it an upset, considering he did win the 500. This is a non-super speedway, though. Does have a few wins in his NASCAR career. 1.5 miles. Johnson with a great cut. That time he actually got it to get underneath Stewart for 2nd place. 5 laps to go. The Coca-Cola 600. Remember, Stewart got passed on the last lap by Johnson in the All-Star race. Jimmy went on to win. Stewart could be in position to do the same thing to Johnson tonight. Sadler with a little bit better of a run off turn 2. Johnson can't quite get underneath the 38 car. A little contact. That's not going to help. Oh, man, that checks both cars up. Jimmy got the worst of it. Sadler holds on to the lead with 4 to go. Sadler's going to make that car wide. Stewart losing a little bit of ground that time off turns 1 and 2. Johnson pulls to the back bumper. Sadler off of turn 4. 3 laps to go. Sadler trying to block the 48. Look at how low the 48 is. Trying to get underneath him. He's going to send it into 1. Sadler trying to block. Jimmy Johnson can't go any lower, and he loses ground off the exit of the corner as he had about half his car on the apron in the center of 1 and 2. He just couldn't go any lower. I'll try the high side through 3 and 4 and try to force Sadler into a mistake. If Sadler's going to block high, Sadler gets to the wall. He may have brushed the wall. Now Johnson tries to side draft him back to the start-finish line. 2 laps to go into 1. Seems like the 38's got a bit more straightaway speed. Johnson going to pull clear. Now he blocks Sadler off turn 2. Johnson to the lead. Stewart third, trying to close. Roles reverse now. Johnson will be leading coming to the white flag, and he'll try to protect. 1 lap to go. And the Coca-Cola 600. No cautions on the final lap. Johnson gets a little loose into 1. Gets the car down to the bottom. Here comes Stewart. Can he get it underneath Sadler now? Johnson trying to block the 38 off turn 2. It's a 3-car race, and it's come down to the final mile of all 600. Stewart to the inside of Sadler. Johnson kind of drifts up the track himself. Sadler's in the wall. Johnson's in the wall. Here comes Stewart. Johnson wins the Coke 600. Johnson barely scraped it. Sadler hit it pretty good, giving Stewart second place, but it's Jimmy Johnson winning the Coca-Cola 600. His 3rd win of the season in dramatic fashion again. And again, just like in the All-Star race, it's Tony Stewart coming up a close second. What finishes we've had on the channel here recently. What a Coke 600 this one was. Johnson fighting through adversity late in the race. Look at how much extra life this engine gets, too. Chase for Jimmy Johnson's first championship continues. And we'll go into another track where he had a lot of dominant success. Man, oh man. What a race. 600 miles. And the margin of victory was very, very close. 97 1,000ths of a second. And get this. This was not our longest race on the channel's history. 3 hours, 45 minutes. The longest race was 3 hours and 46 minutes from the Coke 600 on NASCAR Heat 4. So it wasn't by much. But by 1 minute, this is not the longest race in channel's history. It is the 2nd longest race. And it is the longest race we've ever had on an EA Sports NASCAR game. There it is, 3 hours, 45 minutes. Tony Stewart second, 97 1,000ths of a second. Elliott Sadler third. Kevin Harvick fourth. Dale Jr. finishes fifth. Ryan Newman sixth. Kurt Busch seventh. Jeff Gordon fell back to eighth. Casey K ninth, and Bobby Labonte rounds out the top 10. Johnson led 137 laps a day. How many did Gordon lead? Gordon led 173. So yeah, Gordon, he had the fastest car. He led the most laps, but that final restart, he restarted in the lead and fell all the way back to 8th. That was not the finish Gordon wanted. Kind of like last night where he fell back on the start of the final segment, only for Gordon's sake last night. It wasn't really his fault. It was that random inversion at the end of segment 2 that really hurt him. And he was just kind of stuck in traffic after that. And the fastest car last night of Gordon ended up finishing 5th, 8th to 9th in the actual points race. Man, Oh, Jimmy Johnson gets the win. Here he is in victory lane. I'd call him 7-time, but at this time he didn't win his first championship. We're trying to get that for him. Quite a few lead changes. Coke 600 as well. We got another 400 lap race coming up, but it's only 400 miles instead of 600. Thank goodness. It's going to be the MBNA 400, a salute to heroes. So that is going to be the next race on the channel. Not the next race on the channel. Next race for this game on the channel. The next race on the channel will be tomorrow night at Gateway on NASCAR Heat 5. It'll be our first race of the round of 8 of the playoffs, so you won't want to miss it. It should be a wild one there as well, especially at the first race at Gateway. It's a short race, too, only 200 laps, so the sense of urgency will be on from the get-go. We'll have the points on the left side of the screen as we have all playoff and even late in the regular season long on the Heat 5 career mode. Just 4 more races to round things off there. But yeah, that's going to wrap things up here tonight. Like, share, and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.